But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show is live. We get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about, and you know what those things are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Like I said, we are live. We're streaming on Rockfan, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And as always, we're taking your phone calls. Because, of course, this is a conversation. This is not a show. This is not a program. This is simply a conversation between myself and you. And if you're out there listening, it's Monday night, October 11th. If you're out there listening to me right now, well, you're part of this conversation. As you know, we talk about all the crazy things, all the things that if you bring up at a, let's say you bring it up at Thanksgiving or Canadian Thanksgiving for that matter. I'm told it's Canadian Thanksgiving today. Thank you, Nathalie, for pointing that out. So happy Canadian Thanksgiving to all of our fine Canadian friends out there. And so the thing is this, right? We always talk about just way out there stuff because, one, I like to think about way out there stuff personally, just me personally. And there are conversations I think need to be had, the nature of consciousness, the nature of life itself. And, without bringing those things up to be a super downer at Thanksgiving dinner, hopefully this is an outlet to allow us to put our minds together and consider possibilities greater than ourselves. And that's what this is all about. This is what this has always been all about, because there just aren't places to have conversations like this. You bring it up, with people you know pretty well, and pretty soon they may just run. They may be like, wow, this Michael Strange is a character. I'm out, and I'm not coming back, right? because some people don't like to ponder things like our very existence. We're calling this hashtag No Pants November, by the way, because as I like to say in Las Vegas, I don't put pants on until November 1st because it's shorts. It's shorts until November 1st, and that's it. If it snows tomorrow, I'm wearing shorts. I'm not doing it. I'm holding on to the summer, even in my own reality, if I have to. I'm not putting pants on. We're in hashtag No Pants till November. All right, so that was the joke before we started tonight. So, okay, but the thing is this, right? You can talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Regarding politics. And, it's crazy. Like, literally, like, batshit. I did it. How do I say it? How do I say it without not saying it? Crazy. Absolutely so far out there. You can have these conversations about, about politics, right? And this stuff is so upside down and so beyond the pale, some of these conversations, it doesn't make any sense. Like for instance, let's just throw this out there. And basically, I'm leading up to this, as this is the way this conversation goes. So bear with me. It is a talk show after all, so I do talk a little bit. Or I talk a lot. Yeah, oops, sorry. Oops. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you end up somewhere in the middle. But okay, the thing is this, right? You can talk about absolutely nutters stuff. Or, talking about people's medical history and how it's your business, right? You can talk about like abortion. You could talk about like all kinds of just nutter stuff, right? Like politically. And it's fine. It's acceptable. Like there's some stuff out there that's going on that's like, what is this? Like this is just, wow. Like what in the world, right? And it's fine because it's been dubbed as an acceptable conversation, all right? But there are other things that are critically important to not just yourself as an individual, but to us as humanity, as a collective, right? And I don't mean a collective like the hive mind. I do not want to be part of a hive mind. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about us as a collective of individuals. Important things, right? Literally important things. Like, the nature of consciousness, okay? Like, how about this? What we're going to talk about tonight. What happens when you die? All right. Things like this. Okay. There are hugely important questions that I think people need to consider, just as, at least in the periphery, right? Just in give it some thought. All right. I think, as being people, right, we all have this journey and it begins at birth. All right. But, maybe not. Maybe not. We'll get into that as we go tonight. But right. Let's just say, in generic terms, this human journey begins at our birth, all right? And it ends when we pass away, okay? However, is it as simple as that, all right? And that's what this is all about, because I don't think it's that simple. And there are a lot of things to consider with this, and not even talking about, which we'll get into some of this tonight, maybe quantum immortality, maybe string theory, maybe some things that exist in physics currently that we have no idea what's going on, right? We can observe these things, and we can point them out and say, well, this, that, or the other thing, but why? Why is this stuff happening? And if we exist at a quantum level, which we do, does our energy persist after we die? You see? Now that's a question, isn't it? Now that's a big question. That's probably one of the largest questions you can ask. And I'm not asking you. I mean, I am. But I'm also asking myself. Because I think that's what this is about. This is about challenging ourselves. This is about maybe trying to move past whatever dogmatic programming we've had. Not that, again, like I said, I respect religious people. I think that we need all kinds of people in this world. You're allowed to believe what you want to believe, all right? I truly believe that 100%, and we have the right to be wrong, okay? Well, point being, before I even get into all the rest of that, is this. Like I said, this is a two-way conversation. There are a lot of things here that we can think about and we can talk about as people, and that's what's going on. And if you want to be part of the show tonight, we are, like I said, streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And if you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website for the show. Find all the stuff there. You can find all kinds of things there, right? You can find the podcast links, and we're streaming right on the webpage itself, as a matter of fact. I mean, you basically go there. You're looking for Troubled Minds. We have a website, troubledminds.org. Go there, all right? Want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. The phone number and the Discord link is there. Join the Discord. It's a chat client, a voice client. Discord's an amazing thing. It's free, and we don't get paid to say that. It's just an amazing thing. Go check it out. Free, if you have, as long as you have an internet connection, it works. It's free and it's amazing. All right, there you go. And so we're taking your phone calls both with the phone number and with Discord because internationally, again, Discord, you can call anywhere in the world and not have any sort of toll call, right? Which is again like so archaic in this day and age. But hey, telecom's got a telecom, if you know what I'm saying. But okay, so let us continue, shall we? Now let's get back to this. Now, let's get back to what's on my mind tonight. Now, it is October, as everybody knows, October 11th, as I said. And so we are slowly and surely marching inexorably toward Halloween. And so we're going to be doing spooky stuff. It's what we're going to do. Thursday, we've got scheduled to talk about portals and doorways and things like this, why ghosts maybe pass through them. And we're going to be doing that with our good buddy James of Salcedo Paranormal. Check him out on that podcast. The link is down below. You can find it. Just go down to the links, and his podcast is there. But the thing is this, right? I started thinking in terms of just the larger questions. Like I like to do. I get so bored with just these boring conversations that begin and they end. And it's like, again, only allowed within an acceptable range of takes. Right? That's politics. Once you go outside of that realm, then you're a terrorist, right? You're a dissident. You're a this, that, the other thing. You're all kinds of names, right? But I think that's where the conversation actually lies. It's outside of the realms of acceptable opinion. All right? And of course, what is acceptable opinion? And so tonight, as I'm considering this, and not just Halloween, like I stated, we've been talking about spirits and, all kinds of weird stuff so far already, right? We're talking about haunted houses. We talked about werewolves the other night, I thought that was a pretty hot show. But I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to tell what you guys will be into. So I'm going to just talk about what I find fascinating. And tonight, this is what I find fascinating. Let's start here. Let's begin with this. And this thing goes a little something like this. This is from Anom Alien. I can never say this. ANOMALIEN.com, and I'm going to link it. As always, you guys know me. I like to link my sources, so I'm not totally just making stuff up. I mean, it's cool and fine to just make stuff up, but as long as you're honest about it and be like, all right, guys, I'm just kind of making this stuff up. Well, that's what it is. So it's fine, but I'm not making this up. All right, I'm not making this up. But this got me thinking. Right, I was actually sometimes Showtime comes super fast, and I'm like, oh, geez, what am I going to talk about tonight? What are we going to do? Like we just did robots, we just did ghosts, we did this, that. And I'm like, damn, it seems like we've covered all the things worth covering. Well, not this time. I think this time we haven't talked about this ever directly. And this is from that website that will go unnamed because I can't say it. But the headline is this, more importantly. Quantum physics suggests that death doesn't exist, and it is probably just an illusion. Just an illusion. And so that's the weirdness here. And I'll read just a little bit of this article as we get into it. But the larger question here that I want to bring up and that I want to consider is, and again, like I said, this should not be a question that goes through your brain on your deathbed, right? Maybe this is something that you should have not figured out. I'm not so sure humans can actually figure this out, but at least some theories, right? At least some ideas. Well, anyway, the question tonight is this. What happens when you die? I think it's a nice segue as we march into Halloween, like I said, slowly and surely through the month of October. But, you could take it all kinds of different ways. You could take it to the spiritual realm. You could take it to string theory and quantum immortality. You could take it to a reincarnative state, all right, where when you pass, you're prepped, your soul is debriefed, as it were, cleansed, and sent back to do battle in the world in the fight of good and evil. Who knows, right? And this is what I'm saying. There's so many theories out there that are just all over the place, taken in terms of simulation in the Matrix. So are you returned to the source code? Your code is updated, and then you're placed right back into the simulation itself. You tell me. I don't know. There's 1,000 ways to go with this and a lot of great ideas, but this one right here has got me thinking. Since the beginning of time, this is straight from the article, man has questioned what happens after death. Of course, there are a variety of typical answers to this question, but scientists may have just added an infinite number of other possibilities just to shake things up. According to Robert Lanza, MD, death is actually a door to an endless number of universes. Furthermore, during our life, Lanza asserts that anything that possibly can happen is happening in some universe. He continues to explain that death does not exist in these scenarios since all of these possibilities are taking place at the same time. The only reason we associate our consciousness with our physical body is due to energy operating around in our brains. In his book entitled Biocentrism, How Life and Consciousness Are the Keys to Understanding the Nature of the Universe, he has stirred up quite a bit of controversy on the internet, as his theory regarding everlasting life is quite a bit different than the typical theories surrounding life and death. And interesting. I think that's what got my mind aflame tonight, as I thought, well, I guess that's probably one of the largest questions you can ask of a human being, right? Humans are, again, locked in a state of perpetual birth and death. It's the cycle. It's what we deal with. It's part of the human condition. But think of it in terms of this. Is it possible that death is merely an illusion? And as a result of that, let's bring string theory into the equation, which is part of what he's saying here, is that the energy of our consciousness exists in multiple universes at the same time. As far as I understand it, if I'm explaining this poorly, somebody else is more than welcome to set me straight, which is why we do it in this open format. Because like I said, I don't know everything. It's impossible for me to know everything. Okay, I'm just a human person, just like you. All right? But it doesn't mean that we can't ask some of the biggest questions that have ever been asked. And that's what this show is really about. I always like to call this the great conversation, and I believe that's the truth, and that there are some things that we should consider and think about before the test, let's say. No need to bring a cheat sheet if you've already done your research and pondered the possibilities. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to clarify there. So I don't know. Some people have said death itself is a celebration and should be celebrated as some passing on into another realm. And sometimes in regular theological, literal terms, that would be a passing into heaven, right? A passing into whatever comes next, a beautiful place, all right? Assuming you've done the right things in life. Well, of course, then the opposite of that would be the eternal lake of fire and torment. So I don't know. You tell me. That's the question here. And again, that's just theological terms. I'm just throwing it out for sake of a conversation here. I don't think it's either one of those, to be honest. But also, I don't know what I do think. And so that's part of why we do this and kind of get together and talk about some strange things. Because as usual, I always reserve the right to change my mind about anything at any time. And I'm always trying to learn more to form a solid opinion about the world we live in. And that's it. Simple as that. And again, if you guys have a take on this, if you guys, again, all theories are welcome. We're not trying to keep the range of conversation within an acceptable bound. That's boring. Completely boring, because it's controlled. It's measured. It's actually even fed you answers beforehand when you have a controlled conversation. I'm not trying to do that. I want to know what you think with or within or without those boundaries. That's what I want to think. Sorry. I see what I'm doing to myself. Talking to myself in circles now, but you get what I'm saying. I want to know what you think regardless of what somebody else has told you about this. Not what your pastor told you, not what your parents told you, not what your brother, your sister, your mate, your husband, your this, that, the other, not what your wife have told you. Brother, sister, whatever. No. What do you think? And that's what I mean. What do you think? I don't want to know what Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell told you. I don't care about that. I want to know what you believe yourself in your own heart. What happens when we die? That's the question. That's what's on my mind tonight. Like I said, I know it's a little bit heavy, but I don't think it has to be in terms of depressing heavy. I think it can be, like many have stated, a celebration of sorts. this sort of passing, this sort of moving on to the next realm, whatever it happens to be. What's going on, guys? And I see you in the chat. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for saying hi. But that's what's going on. I don't know. So you guys tell me, as always, right? Taking your phone calls on this. And I got the book. I got the whole book. This guy's got the whole damn book here. I got a link. It's down below. Apparently, you can just get it. I mean, I didn't have to buy it or anything. You just log into academia.edu, and there it is. And it's about the this exact book that I'm talking about, and which is pretty cool, right? When academics, you can log in and just get the get the deets, read the things. So pretty amazing. Anyway, so back to square this up. What's going on is this. Quantum physics suggests that death doesn't exist and is probably just an illusion. Just an illusion. Life is but a dream, as it were. And so that's the question tonight. What do you believe about this? And do you think that this is something we should think about? This is something we should talk about. Do you think that I've just crossed a line this time? Michael Strange, you've crossed a line this time. This is just a conversation that should not be had. That's okay. I'm all right if you believe that. Because guess what? That's what we do. I think as good human beings, we cross lines. All right? But crossing lines, in some cases, doesn't mean breaking the rules. It means reaching across lines to make friends. It means reaching across these lines, these verboten lines, to expand your own consciousness, to know that there are other people out there in this world that are like you, that question things, that look up to the sky and wonder, how big is it out there? How far does this go? And I think that's what's going on. And like I said, as always, looking for feedback, looking for your guys' thoughts on this and all the rest of these things. And if you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. So again, right, just going to cut through some theories here so you guys have an idea of the scope. Like I said, the scope is this. What happens when we die? You know, we've heard the trope, let's call it the Halloween trope, Carol Ann, stay away from the light. Anybody remember that from Poltergeist, right? So what happens? What about, let's throw this into the mix. What about a near-death experience? All right? What about that? People have gone and had, let's say they drowned, all right? And they were like flatline dead for like 45 minutes. And then they miraculously spit up some water and they come back, all right? And many of these cases where this has happened, where their heart has stopped, whatever happens, and they come back from this state of death, many describe seeing a light. And in some cases, even being beckoned into the light. So I'm curious about that. I looked a little bit into that, but I'm wondering about your thoughts. Is that a trap? We've talked about this before. Is it something that is a benevolent light? Is it a trick? Is it the pathway to the source? The reincarnation tunnel, as it were? I don't know. Like I said, I don't have any of the answers here, literally zero of these answers. But I do love asking those questions. So that's what's on deck tonight. That's what we're doing. That's what we're thinking about. And why the hell not? Like I said, every time everybody else zigs, we zag. And so people may be talking about spirits and Halloween and all the rest of this stuff. And we could do that too tonight. But that's not going to be the premise. The premise is going to be inside or outside the bounds of discussion. It all goes. But the question is this. What happens when you die? Is there a way back? Is there a way forward? Does our energy persist on a quantum level through quantum immortality? Or do you think it's all a recycling program on a scale unparalleled in human history? You tell me. I don't know. Like I said, this is not the answer show. This is the question show. We're going to keep asking questions. If you want to be part of it, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're talking about what happens when you die. Taking all comers and all thoughts. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we're talking about what happens when you die. We're streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls. What are your thoughts on this? Has anything changed over, I don't know, say 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 years in humanity with death? Or is it all the same? Do we recycle? Do we live forever through quantum immortality? Is it religious in scope, or is it not at all? Like I said, I don't know the answers here, and I don't presume to, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? One more time, if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and that's the official website. And the Discord is there, and the phone number is there. You can find everything you need right there on the website itself. Okay, let's keep on trucking with this a little bit. Like James is always the first one to jump into the pool here, and there's a lot to think about. Very Halloween-y style, kind of in just in terms of what happens when you die. And you know, like I said, it seems like a simple thing. It seems like one of the most basic questions, except it isn't. It's not at all. You know, there's some people that believe simply, again, like I said, in that religious dogmatic version of, well, we have, you know, there's you be good in life and then you get, you know, celestial rewards, as it were. Okay. Well, what if it's not the case at all? What if you never die? What if this quantum state of immortality exists and persists through string theory? Meaning, there's not just one of you. There are infinite of you. And you're all connected. You're all connected through quantum entanglement, and your soul, as it were, your spirit, whatever it is that makes you yourself, exists in a state of everywhere, all at the same time. You ask, I'm asking you that. Do you believe that? Do you believe that in this quantum immortality bit? Do you believe that quantum physics suggests that death doesn't exist and it is probably just an illusion? Which, of course, is the premise tonight. And just a way to start a great conversation here. And lots of ways to take this. However you want to take this, we will take this. You guys know the conversation kind of goes where you want it to go. So let us begin, shall we? Let's go to Joe in Florida right after the phone number, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show, troubledminds.org. And let's go to Joe. Joe in Florida. What's up, my man? How are you tonight?
Not too bad. How's everybody doing?
A-okay. I can speak for myself, but I'll send goodwill to all mankind. Go ahead, my man.
That's all we can do.
That's all we can do. There you go.
That's all we can do. Mankind and womankind,
all
however you might.
All the aliens, the hybrids. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. So we have an expert.
I identify as an angry funeral director. And you would think, with all the people I see dead, maybe one of them would give me a wink, but I don't know. So life after death, yeah, there's something to it. Physical evidence, wasn't there a study that when the body dies, it weighs a little bit less?
Yes.
I know that there was a study for that.
Yes. I believe it's been debunked, as it were. But so the initial study was something about that the soul had a weight to it. I can't remember what the actual weight was, so many ounces. There's a movie that was made. But that when you passed away, the weight of your body actually changed exactly to the weight of a human soul as your soul disappeared from the body. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
Did not know that was debunked. Just remember hearing about it.
Well,
and since I don't ambulance chase, I'm out there at the minute somebody dies to find out. But you know, it's an interesting topic. I wonder if when you hear people that are reincarnated and they're remembering past lives, there's got to be something to that. You know, maybe once or twice you could say it doesn't exist, but it seems to happen. Not that it's consistent, but the cases that do happen, you kind of wonder where this is coming from.
Exactly.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to process here because it's like I said, it seems a simple question, but the answers and the theories here are not simple at all. Though I do like that you're basically an expert, right, Joe? I mean,
I would not say that I'm an expert in anything.
Okay, all right. All right.
Especially after the day I've had today.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. Well, I don't know. Sorry, go ahead. Continue. So, I don't want to...
No, but I have seen, like I've said ghost stories before in the past. I've seen things, felt them, hear them, things that you kind of, the hair stands on the back of your head, the back of your head. Sometimes you smell a smell. I think we've all talked about that. If the universe is math, and math is universal, as far as we know, the laws are universal. 2 + 2 is 4 here. 2 + 2 is the same someplace else. So everything's based on math, and the math bears it out. Then maybe we do come back. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So if the energy that's in this universe is maybe finite, then maybe we are recycled.
Yeah.
The thing that makes me wonder is, well, when we die, are we going to see aliens? Are we going to see other species? Waiting in purgatory or wherever you want to go wait. So that's kind of, and I never hear about people coming back and describing other things. I don't know if I've told you, I did have a story recently. This woman that actually has come to see me twice in the last 2 months because her boyfriend died and her mother died, and her brother had a near-death experience. So, and I talked to the guy, and he seemed off, he was very deadpan. And most of the time, I could read people in the room, how they're going to be, if they're going to complain about the price, if they're going to argue about who's getting what portion of the ashes, I could usually be a pretty good gauge of that. And I had a guy that come in and couldn't really read them. And, he asked me a question like, how do you justify your costs? And I answered everything. And he left, and his sister stayed behind, and she told me, she's like, let me apologize. She goes, he was dead for, one thing she said, 40 minutes. She was an ER nurse. The guy had a heart attack. She kept doing CPR. The ambulance came. They took him to the hospital. She knew the ER doctors because she was an ER nurse. They were going to call it. They hit him with the paddle one last time. He came back. He came back to life. And he apparently spoke to the family. He said he saw the family. He saw everybody that was dead. He brought back details and everything. So, who are we to judge?
Well, yeah. That's pretty wild, and that's what I mean, right? That's why, sort of when you open up an open forum like this and ask, maybe people have had near-death experiences and can give you maybe that expert insight, right? And that would be a true expert, right? Somebody who maybe towed the line, dipped their feet in the light, as it were, and were able to come back. Which again, so much to derive from an experience like that. Again, some people would just say that it's, the brain kind of doing its thing, right? Going through the motions of passing on. But I don't know. I'm not so sure, right? I don't know. So your thoughts on that? Do you have a theory on this quantum immortality? Again, I like how you said the finite. If energy is finite in the universe, it would make sense that as souls depart, they are recycled somehow and brought back. But then it would also mean that, I guess it's probably human-centric to argue that means that we'd have a fixed population forever. Yeah, I'll bet you there's a whole lot more energy in the universe than just people, right? But I don't know. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that we do come back in some capacity, or do you think maybe we just live on in another experience, another dimension? Just maybe one tiny slice of us, one particle out of the billions of possibilities, kind of passes away and maybe gets recycled into back into the whole. I don't know. What do you think about this, man? Theories?
To bring up a show, if anybody watched Picard, the show Picard, the first season of the new Picard. Like, it's just called Picard. And if I could venture out, the android that was in the show, they died in one of the movies. Apparently, one of his neurons survived. And just because that one little neuron survived, all his memories survived. And he was somehow in limbo until they actually finally killed him off. I hope not wrote it. But they were able to create like a likeness from him and keep his memory. You know, it wasn't that it was brain centric, it was just a part of him. Like cell memory. If that makes any sense. So I don't know. I like to think that if we are in a matrix and it was created by some super intelligence, maybe we are just like them because there are errors in the code that are self-correcting. It's just that maybe that person or thing that did it is just a little bit smarter than we are, and we're just kind of crawling along like sea monkeys, and this thing's watching us to see how it works and how experiment A, how reality A, reality B, reality C, and all those realities might play out. That could be it. I mean, as far as finite, could we be split? Yeah, maybe we're lower versions of energy of ourselves splitting up. Maybe that's why we can't use all our brain. I don't know.
Interesting.
Because each time we get split, the frequency's lower. And you hear there's other people on here, whether I ascribe to their theory or not. I'm sure there's plenty of people here that have better insight on this than I do. But when you hear about frequency and vibration, are we moving towards, like you said yesterday, singularity? Should our frequency be higher? If our frequency gets lower, doesn't it muddy the waters? Look what's happening now. Look at the residents. Look at the country. Look at the world. Does that play out into other realities? It doesn't even matter because it's only our reality that we see in front of us. To guess about anything else is just any other guess.
Yeah, well, I dig it. I think that's probably, in my opinion, that's how we should be thinking here, considering like there's so much we don't even know about the world we live in. Everything seems so, binary with you the switch is on, the switch is off type of thing. That seems so simple, considering what luminous beings are we, right, as Yoda would say. It seems like it doesn't have to be as simple as just a light switch going off. Crazy stuff. I don't know. I like the idea of the brain. Maybe that's why we don't use most of our brain, because it's being used in other to kind of maybe connect other realms with ourselves. And so it's kind of like a passive thing happening just to connect all the different versions of us and the different realities. I love it, man. That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. I just hope when I come back, I don't have my bills.
There you go. I agree with you. Let's find a way of what would you call it? Cosmic.
I don't know. We should call it our Matrix wish.
Matrix wish.
So I think my Matrix wish would be put me back as a strip club manager. That's about it.
Of course, you're going to come back as a dung beetle, because that's the way it works. Because you never get what you want, do you? Joe, you're amazing, my brother.
Have a good night, guys.
I appreciate it. Anything else? Anything else? You can't just run off like that.
No, that's it. Well, you know what, man? I broke the ice. Somebody else could call in smarter than me.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Joe in Florida, have a great night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, bro. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
There you go. There you go. Easy as that. You want to give us a call, 702-957-1037. Phone number's up right there on the stream. You can also find the phone number at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, and we'll put you in there as well. And I don't know. I think really all this is about is just some really large questions. And, of course, with a large question like in scope, I think large answers are okay, and I don't know is okay. I think that's probably one of the biggest problems with with the world anymore is nobody can say I don't know anymore, right? Everybody has to know. Everybody thinks they know every step of the way. You have to be so damn sure of yourself, right? I know. Such and such said this YouTube video said that. I read this book that was this, right? And I know it's all we can do as humans is trying to put together a whole bunch of this into one package, which is us, right? But it doesn't mean you know anything. It doesn't mean we know anything. And I think that's the most amazing part about discussions like this. Yeah, fantastic call, Joe. Thank you so much. Like I said, if anybody's an expert, he's a funeral director. He's probably seen it all in that regard. He's got ghost stories. He's, like you said, he's had talked to people that have come back from the dead. Well, that's way more than I ever have. So yeah, that's amazing. Good call. Appreciate it, Joe. Looking to hear from the rest of you guys. What do you think? What is going on with this? So the premise tonight is this: scientist concludes death does not exist. It's just an illusion. So is life but a dream? Is life but a dream? It's called faith, Mike. The knowing, that is. Well, there's also faith in many things. So I'm not talking about religious faith in this consequence. I'm talking about faith in the political body, right? I'm talking about faith in the government. I'm talking about faith in humanity. I'm talking about there's faith so many other ways that are not just the biggest, right? The biggest questions and the biggest answers. And again, like the binary switch goes on or switch goes off. I think it's probably quite a bit better than that, at least the conversation is for sure. So anyway, what do you guys think? Is this true? So an American researcher postulates that death is an illusion created by our conscious. So when a person dies, life does not end. And so it goes a little something like this. The new scientific theory suggests that physical death is not the terminal event that we think. It is only the change to a different level of existence. And that's where the conversation begins tonight. And we can, wide-ranging, like I said, religious or not, it's okay. I'm not anti-religious. I know so much of the world just craps on religion all the time, which I think is unnecessary, because I think we need lots of people with individual thoughts and ideas to make to real diversity, by the way, real diversity of thought. Can you imagine, right? That's what diversity should be. And it's not, well, because of course we boil everything down to the most grotesque versions because, well, that's what humans do. But, okay, so we're talking about life, not life after death. What happens when you die? Is this theory solid here with death does not exist? It's just an illusion. Well, there's a whole book written about it, and some scientists think they have an idea. And, well, we had some great ideas from Joe as well. So one more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, Robert? How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show tonight.
Oh, I'm fine. How are you?
Doing very well. Happy Monday. I'm sure you have some thoughts on the matter, don't you?
Oh, I'm well versed in all this. So let's take it by steps. What's happening when you're on death's door? Okay. The first thing that happens for most people, as a matter of fact, almost all right, is they find themselves floating above their body, looking at their body, and they are so detached, all right, that they actually, in their minds, think, that's just a meat container, all right. Then there's no fear. I mean, that doesn't happen, right? There's no fear. There's no scare or whatever, because you're already in the spirit, all right. The next step is you find yourself in a completely dark environment, absolutely pitch black, all right? There's no fear there either. There's a kind of peace involved in that when you're in that. And then in a distance, a little white dot will appear, and it expands and expands and expands, and it's so bright, it's brighter than 100 suns, to use some kind of analogy. All right. If it was physical-wise, looking at that, it would make you blind. All right. But there's no problem in seeing that in that spirit body. All right. The next thing you know, you're going through a tunnel of light. It's that light, and you're going like 1,000 miles an hour through that tunnel. What you're going to see when you get there, all right, is you're going to see your dead relatives, all right? You're going to see people you don't even know, but you do know. You know them all your multiple lives, all right? You'll see people that you knew in a previous existence. You'll see people that you're going to know in a future existence. You'll see people who are still alive. Like, let's say you have a sister or you have a brother, all right, and they're still alive. They'll be there to greet you too, all right, because this is all happening at once to begin with. And so, you know, and this whole business of physical reality is an illusion, all right. And then you're going to have it's almost like watching a movie of your life, all right. You're going to have a life reveal. That's not what it's called. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But you're going to go through from the day you were conceived, from the moment you were conceived up until the point of when you crossed over. All right? An evaluation. All right? There's no judgment. Absolutely none. You could have been Hitler. All right? And there's no judgment. All right? And then you have a choice to make whether or not you want to continue on, all right, or you want to leave. But before you make that choice, you'll see a couple of doors that will open, all right, and there'll be people, you know, I guess guides. That's what the literature talks about. Excuse me, guides are who are sitting around a table, elders, whatever. And they're going to give you a choice between staying or going back. You always have that choice. And you make that choice before you even leave your body. All right, let's say you're in a car accident. You're about to be in a car accident. All right, you've already left your body before that happens. All right, and you're making a choice of whether that crash is going to be enough to force you into the realm of the dead, or going to be not so severe that you can't come back. Or let's say you're going through cancer or whatever, and you're in a hospice. All right, and you're going to make a decision of whether or not to have those hospice workers euthanize you. All right, that's a choice you make before you pass away. I mean, your spirit has already left your body previously and made that decision. So if you do order the euthanasia, it's irreversible, but you've already made that decision. I'm trying not to make this so complicated. I'm just trying to make it clear. You always have a choice whether to pass permanently over or come back.
I see.
Now,
okay.
Nobody knows anybody that's gone completely to the end of this journey, all right, because they don't come back. So we don't know beyond that what occurs. I think you spend some time there. I mean, it's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be colors and things and music that are impossible to describe in English words or any kind of language. Colors you never have seen. All right, it's beautiful. It's peaceful. It's joy. There's no pain. That's all that stuff. All right, but you always are going to wind up making a choice, deciding where to come back, because part of what this is all about is you're deciding who your parents are going to be, all right, and what you're going to experience, because that's what this whole circle of life is all about. You're deciding what challenges you're going to have in the next life, and there's no guarantee that you'll overcome them, those challenges, but you're taking it on. And everybody that does this are considered heroic in that world. I'm going to use world or whatever that's
something
called there.
Hey, Robert, we got to take a break. You want to hang on and come back after?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll be right back with you, Robert. Thanks for the fantastic call. Good stuff as always. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. We're talking about what happens when you die. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So we got, all right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
all right, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are live. We're streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls tonight. If you want to be part of the show, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. It is as simple as that. And the discussion tonight revolves around this. What happens when we die? Quantum physics suggests that death doesn't exist, and it is probably just an illusion. What do you think? We've got Robert on the phone, so let's waste no time and let's get right back to Robert and let's find out the rest of his theory here. Thank you, Robert, for being patient with the commercial break there, and welcome back to the show.
All right. Like I said, we've never heard from anybody that's ever gone all the way, because they don't come back. But there are tons and tons of people who have experienced
Near death, right? Near death experience?
An out-of-body near death experience. Thank you very much. It's late for me. I'm on the East Coast, so I get a little bit foggy in the brain. And I'll bet plenty of dollars. I'll bet you a $10 tip. All right, that there are people listening to this show tonight who've experienced the near-death, had the near-death experience, and I would hope they would call in and talk about what they experienced. But is it all right if I talk a little bit more about the life review?
Of course. So just as a recap, so you were describing what happens from anecdotal accounts, right? Was this from a book? Where are you getting this information from?
I have, of course, my information comes from reading a lot of books about this.
Okay.
Throughout my life.
Okay.
Right? That's why I say I'm well versed in this.
Gotcha. Right? So just to clarify, it's okay. That's okay. I want to make sure if it was coming from a particular book, I want you to be able to share it so other people could catch up. That's all. So, but go ahead. So you were kind of discussing like when you pass away, there's darkness, there's light, and then you meet friends, family members, current, past, even future entities that you don't know in this life, but you may know in the next life or the following. And then you said there's some sort of life review, just as a recap, but then go right ahead with that thought.
Okay. What's important, though, in all my studies of this, I'm hearing myself.
Okay, I'll try and fix that.
What's important, though, in all my studies of this is the consistency. All right? You can't have, all these people relating near-death experience, all right, and everything is almost the same, all right? There's always going to be a few charlatans, all right, but you can't possibly believe it. A mass of people are all charlatans. So you have to accept what they're telling you, all right, what they went through. And it's always classic, just like when I went through those steps earlier. Now, the life review is for a reason. It's not to judge you, because there is no judgment. But it's for example, it's to make you feel the pain or the sorrow or the emotional turmoil of somebody you hurt. It might be even something you forgot about. Let's say you were nasty to a fat girl, all right, and you said something cruel to her. You may have forgotten it. It may be when you were a teenager and you were an idiot, all right. You'll feel that, and you feel regret for it, but you won't even judge yourself, all right. But they'll also show you things where you came into somebody's life. You may have said something or done something that actually positively changed the course of their lives. All right, you'll go through all of it. All right, that's the life review, and it's like I said, it's like a huge movie screen. You're actually sitting there, and you're watching this just like you would in the theater. It's a big screen. You know, that story I wrote years ago in that book that I wrote. Creation, that story, Creation. I deal with that. But that's what you go. You go through the life review, and then you have a choice. Then you go through those doors, and you have a choice whether to go back or not. You've already made that choice before the incident happened that brought you to the point of a near-death experience to begin with. All right? So we can always make that choice. We don't have to, only when we're ready to. But the temptation to continue on is overwhelming, because it is like, let's use a cliche, heaven on earth. All right, there's no pain, there's nothing but total love. You feel like you're home. All right, and it's a magnet to where even if you have children you're leaving behind, you have to really think about whether you really want to go back or not. All right, it's that's what it's like. All right, I'm trying not to get diverted into different paths here. I'm trying to make it smooth, and it's impossible. All right, so the easiest way is for you to turn into an interviewer and ask you some questions that maybe you have that I may be able to supply some answers to.
I can do that. Okay, so now this is the thing. So you're describing this life review as not a judgment, more of a situation where you are experiencing the pain, the anguish, even the highs and the lows, as sort of not a judgment situation, but more of a chance for you to give yourself your own grade, right? It's kind of turned back on yourself. So then what happens after that? Do you believe that we end up with some sort of reincarnation cycle? Again, is this like the digital thing? You go back to the source for a recycling moment, maybe to change or become something else. Like I was joking with Joe there, he's going to come back as a dung beetle, something like this. What do you think happens after that point?
Well, for one thing, you don't have to go back into a new life. All right, that's always your choice. You can take some time to spend, and believe me, time is an illusion. So we're talking time here. It doesn't exist, but for the sake, all right, you can spend some time in the afterlife just to relax, deprogram, enjoy it all. But eventually, we all have to do this. We all make up our minds, because that's what we're for. All right. There is this. I hate to use the word God. All right, but there is this ultimate entity that speaks to you. When you're really near the point where you have to make a decision whether to come back or go on. All right, but what's interesting about it is, it's total love. No judgment. You feel like you're in the presence of the greatest creative spirit there ever was. But what contradicts that is that entity, whatever that is, actually feels beholden to us for having created it. All right? And but anyway, I'm getting off track. You're talking about, yes, we go back, but we don't have to go back right away. A lot of people do make the choice to go back right away because that's the challenge. Because it's what elevates our soul. It helps our soul to evolve so that we, I guess, somehow go merge with that godlike thing. I can't think of a less cruder word, but whatever that thing is.
Entity.
So that we can, entity that we merge with. But that entity insists that we created it. All right, that's what puzzles me all to heck and back. All right, we were here before the entity was here. All right. So anyway, but we choose who our parents are going to be in the next life. By the way, all these lives are happening at one time. They're simultaneous to begin with. So when you're having a near-death experience, you're also experiencing this particular life review, but you're also able to see your past lives and your future lives. So you're going to go there. If you have a future life, and again, time is an illusion. I'm just using that because I don't know how else to not do it. All right, but you're going to go back, and you're going to pick your challenges. Part of that is picking your parents. Let's say you want to be born poor, and try to overcome that challenge. Well, you're going to pick parents who's going to make sure that you are. All right. Maybe you want to. Nobody picks a challenge like I want to be born Bill Gates. All right, but somebody did. Somebody picked Bill Gates. Those people picked to be billionaires. The question I've got is, what challenges are they trying to overcome? As in that capacity, we're all considered very brave. We are all considered heroic. The very fact that we will voluntarily do this because it's awful. The whole idea of being in a meat body and going through life is, you have its ups and downs, but mostly it's a pain in the ass. All right, but we do it, and then we have our life review, and the cycle continues, and it will go on forever. There's no end to it. Next question, if you got one.
Okay, so good stuff. Is I guess, does it end? Is there an end to this? Can you choose to just maybe stay with the source or whatever this entity is and not come back? There is that choice there.
Well, for one thing, since there's no time, there's no beginning and there's no end. All right, there's no middle. There's no beginning, middle, or end. It all happens at once. Can I explain that? I mean,
sure.
That's physics. All right, they'll tell you that's the truth. That time's an illusion and everything is happening at once. But also, you have multiple universes. Let's say, for one, you're on a road, you're driving. Let's say you're coming back from your vacation in California. All right, but you're thinking, I think I'm going to turn off this road. I'm going to turn off this road and get check out the scenery over there. There's another you on a parallel Earth that doesn't decide to make that turn. He decides, I'm tired, I'm going straight home. All right, so everything that's possible happens. All right, there's many yous in the universe, but that has, you see, I'm getting off on a tangent that has nothing really relevant to do with what we're talking about.
It's
right?
It's complicated, isn't it? It's complicated. I think that's probably, like I said.
I don't begin to put across that I am an authority on this now. I'm just saying I'm well-versed in this, all right? But there's still parts of it that just, that aren't in the literature because nobody can... The only way you can know the absolute truth is to die permanently, not come back, because nobody that goes all the way comes back to talk about it. Now, what I'd like to do, I would like to get off this phone. By the way, this is my favorite subject.
Okay,
This is my favorite subject. If you have more questions, I'm more willing to take your airtime, all right? But I would really like to, anybody that's listening out there that's had this experience,
yeah,
all right, to call you.
Agreed.
Talk about it.
Agreed. 100%.
One more thing.
Sure, go ahead.
One more thing. When you're in bed, if you can experience on your own a separation of your soul from your body, you can take an astral trip. And a lot of people think that's complicated. It's not. I've done it. All right? What you need to do is you need to shut your brain down. You know how your brain is always thinking? One thought after another, it just cycles through there. It's hard to relax your brain. There's an easy way to do that. And I'm going to give that piece of advice right now, and then we're going to off the phone.
Okay.
While you're lying there, think to yourself, what is my next thought? That shuts off every other thought. Every other thought is shut off, and your mind will relax quickly, immediately. Right? And then you allow yourself, your body will relax, and you feel, and what you do is you start with your feet, and you feel your feet relax. They're relaxing, and you feel that sense of relaxation as it goes up your body, all the way up, through the neck, through the head, and through the mind's eye. All right? Give it time. You'll start to feel your trembling. You're really not trembling, but you'll feel like the earth is shaking a little bit. All right? And just then, you'll pop out. And you'll find, of course, the first time might be scary, so you'll pop right back in. But the more you do this, the more you understand there's nothing to fear about death. Because you're experiencing that when you're doing that astral projection. You're seeing really what it's all about. All right? So try that. Simple routine. What is my next thought? That shuts the brain down, completely.
Gotcha.
Because it can't get more thoughts if it's waiting for the next one.
Right.
Right.
So
and relax yourself and try that. Okay.
Yeah. A little mind
So
hack.
please, anybody out there that's listening to Michael Strange and Troubled Minds, and you've experienced any near-death, you've had any near-death experiences, please call in the show. I would really like to hear what you have to say about your experiences. And I'm sure Michael would like to hear that, too.
Agreed, 100%. Before I let you go, real quick, I got a question. So I did state that the weight of the soul was debunked. I apologize for that. I'm kind of looking through things, and as usual, the usual Snopes and everybody else is debunking stuff. But there was an actual experiment that was done that came to the conclusion that 21 grams is what a soul weighs, and you said it had not been debunked. Do you want to address that?
That's right. That was Duke University. I think that was in the 40s.
Okay.
Duke University.
Okay.
Did that. They had very sensitive scales on the beds, and they weighed it. To the best of my knowledge, nobody's ever debunked that. I mean, that's been in the literature for decades.
Okay. Cool. Just wanted to make sure, let you say that, because I had said that and you said it hadn't been. I wanted to let you say it on the air here. Fantastic stuff. You were the man, Robert. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for calling. We'll get Matt's going to call just after the break here, so he said he's going to call right after you. So we do have more people calling, and fantastic insight as always, my friend.
Thank you, and I hope somebody can call in with that experience. Thank you very much. Bye.
All right. Have a great one. There you go. Robert in Pennsylvania. He's got a book called Stories from a Fractured Mind. Check it out. Link is down below. A friend of the show for a long time. He's been calling in and listening pretty much every night. He's been very consistent and been a big fan of Troubled Minds and spreading the word and being an advocate for us. So appreciate that very much. So, all right. That's the question tonight, right? Scientist concludes death does not exist. It's just an illusion. And Robert had some good ideas here regarding what happens when we do pass. And, but, you know, that's all good. That's all fine and well. Like he said, there's no way to know all the answers, but we do get together and kind of share our ideas with each other, and that's what this is really all about. Mbole says this: An interesting thought, your heart weighed against a feather. And isn't that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's like an old, isn't that what the Egyptians used to say? Something like that. And at the moment of judgment, you come before, I can't remember if it was Set or whoever it was, whoever the god of judgment was, that weighed the heart against truth or whatever. Maybe it was something like that. I don't know. Again, like I said, lots of religious ideas here, lots of religious thoughts and what this actually means. But yeah, curious that we end up kind of wondering what's going on with this stuff. I don't know. Like I said, some of the biggest questions out there are also some of the most fascinating conversations. Just it depends on where you begin and where you end, right? And I think a conversation like this just doesn't end. Yeah, there we go. The Egyptians believe that. There you go. I thought it was an Egyptian thing. The goddess Maat, M-A-A-T. Yeah, okay. All right. See, I knew there was something to it. Okay. So anyway, what we're doing tonight, guys, is we're discussing this idea. What happens when you die? All right. And so there's some ideas, right? There's some religious ideas that go back to the Egyptians, like we're discussing here in the chat there, weighing your heart against a feather. There's some other ideas with quantum immortality, and that maybe our mind is, as Joe was describing, we only use a certain portion of our mind because the rest of it is in tune with the rest of our consciousness that's happening all around the multiverse. And so there are different versions of us in different universes, but we're all linked. And so that's why that would mean, in effect, a quantum consciousness that never dies, because it's always part of something else that's ongoing, as Robert also described, simultaneously with time. So I don't know. There's a lot here to think about, a lot to talk about as usual. But what are your thoughts on this? So again, just a real quick to recap here, where we began the night was this. Quantum physics suggests that death doesn't exist and is probably just an illusion. And here we go. So according to Robert Lanza, MD, death is actually a door to an endless number of universes. Furthermore, during our life, Lanza asserts that anything that possibly can happen is happening in some universe. And that's actually what Robert was saying there, that everything's happening all at the same time. And all the different places, all the lifetimes are happening simultaneously. That's what Robert Lanza here is saying as well. He continues to explain that death does not exist in these scenarios since all of these possibilities are taking place at the same time. The only reason we associate our consciousness with our physical body is due to energy operating in our brains. And there we go. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? So he wrote a book called entitled Biocentrism, How Life and Consciousness Are the Keys to Understanding the Nature of the Universe. And I've got a direct link to that here. I will put it in the chat. The entire book is available for your perusal, which is pretty amazing. Some of the academics post their work for free. And that's what's going on tonight. That's what's on my mind. And like I said, sometimes these questions are really, really large. And that's okay. I think that we shouldn't expect to come to an answer, right? I mean, that's probably the most fascinating conversation, are the ones that don't have direct answers. Well, it doesn't stop me. We're going to do this anyway. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're talking about what happens when you die and taking all thoughts on this. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. Your calls and more after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are talking about what happens when you die. We've got a quantum theory here that suggests this. Quantum physics suggests that death doesn't exist and is probably just an illusion. So as we stream on DLive, Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter, and broadcast live on the Fringe FM, we're taking your phone calls and your thoughts on this. What do you think? What happens when you die? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. You can click the Discord link, and actually, Daryl, hang tight. We're going to go with Matt. He's been waiting on the other caller, so hang tight in there. We're going to go to Matt, then we'll go to you, Daryl, just one moment. Let's go to Matt in California. Thanks for being patient with us, my friend. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you doing, Mike?
Okay, my man. Monday means nothing. As long as you have a good conversation.
Yeah, I was listening to Robert, so it was good. So I didn't want to cut him off.
Okay, no sweat. So what are your ideas on this?
Anyways, yeah. So my personal beliefs, I believe in the afterlife and the reincarnation, but I like listening to other people's takes too, because I'm not 100% right. And so there's that quote. I forget who it is, but he says, "Energy is never created or destroyed. It's simply transformed." And I like that one because that kind of explains it really well. But everyone can have their own opinion and things. And I think too, also I think maybe it's supposed to be a mystery. Like, we could talk about it all day, but I think it's supposed to be a mystery, because if you knew how or when you were going to die, you wouldn't live your life. You would just be waiting for that time.
Yeah, well, and I think that's part of the problem with people too, is that we demand, right? We demand so many things of ourselves, of the world, and even of the universe. And what that means is the answers. And I'm with you, man. Like, I agree that there are some things I don't think we should ever know. And I think that's part of why this makes some people uncomfortable, this type of conversation, because they understand and realize that no matter who you ask, like what Robert was saying, there's going to be charlatans out there, right? Selling you meteor juice and trying to, get the tithing or whatever's going on, right? Because death, right? Death is coming. Death is on the way. Death is staring you in the eyeballs, right? But it's not about that. It's not about dying. It's about living, isn't it? It's about a completely different thing. And so, you can look at it one of two ways, and it's, we're all going to die for sure. But are you going to live in fear up to that point? I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's a waste of everybody's time and a disservice to humanity and yourself. But I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
There are answers we're not going to get to. Not going to get to.
Yeah, it's a mystery. It's supposed to stay a mystery.
Exactly.
Until we die.
Exactly.
A couple personal stories real quick. A few years ago, my mom had a heart attack. She was in a coma for 3 or 4 days. And when she came out, I asked her, what happened? What's over there? And she said, nothing. It's darkness. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to believe that. And I also have a friend of mine, when we talk about this stuff, good conversations, to just a crazy question, just what happens when you die. And he believed, and of course, everyone has their opinion, I'm not saying he's wrong, but he believed that when you die, and nothing, that's it. You live, you die, and that's it. And I'm like, man, if that is true, that's boring.
Well, not just boring. I think in terms of, like you described, energy as never dissipating, just changing form. I think it kind of spits in the face of what the spark of humanity actually means. If we're just a boring meat suit, you're right, it's boring, but it also means that we spend a lot more time dead than we do alive, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I want to talk about these books I read a while back called the Afterlife Codes by Susie Smith.
Sure.
I think there's 3 books, and in these books, they're doing these studies. These they do double blind, quadruple blind, all that studies on the psychics and the information they bring back. And it's not about how much information they bring back; it's about how accurate it is. Meaning, and they get graded. So if it's really accurate, it's a percentage. And they're the psychics are competing against each other to try to get back accurate information. And so, when you go to these psychics, I look at it as entertainment value, not the truth. But the thing is, what I'm looking for that 100% solid, this is the fact that that person cannot know. And these psychics, they come out with this stuff and it's so vague. It's so, oh, I sense a woman, or something like that. And so I think the more vague it is, the more easy it is for them to poke and prod you and get the answers. And so anyways, these books, the Afterlife Codes, make an Afterlife Code. So I hope everybody listening has somebody that could talk to about this. This is a really deep conversation. But I hope everybody has, a partner or a friend, someone they can talk to about this. And so you get your partner and you go to a room and no one else is supposed to know your afterlife code. So you're gonna make an afterlife code. You're gonna come up with a word. It's best with a simple word, but I've seen people use like phrases. But just come up with a simple word and agree upon that's your afterlife code. And the trick is nobody's supposed to know. And so the trick is that when one person dies, the other person can go to a psychic and try to see if that psychic can break the afterlife code without you saying anything. And so just as an experiment, just to mess around, here's my experiment. I'm gonna make an afterlife code with you, Mike. So the code is gonna be pineapples.
All right.
And you're like, why is this guy talking about pineapple? Okay. But then, and that's our afterlife code. And then in the hopefully distant future, say I die first. And, you know, you guys are saying, oh, Matt, he was a good guy, right? I hope you guys are saying good things about me. But then,
for sure.
But then, say you're sitting around and maybe you're thinking about me, maybe a conversation we had or something. And then all of a sudden, a commercial comes on the TV for pineapple soda. And then your wife brings home pineapples from the store because they're on sale. And then, like, you're walking down the street, you see, like, a pineapple shirt or, like, a pineapple pin on a backpack. And then you get in your car, and the song Pina Colada comes on the radio. Like, that's me. That's me trying to communicate with you, like, tell you, like, I'm okay on the other side. And it's up to you to hopefully get those synchronicities to understand what it is. And then so, like, say you went to a psychic, and you went to any psychic, and the psychic was like, there's this kid here with long hair and tattoos. He's trying to communicate with you. Well, that narrows it down, but that could be anybody still. But then say you go to a psychic, and it's like a real life psychic, a legitimate psychic, and she says, oh, there's this kid here with long hair and tattoos, and he's trying to hand you a pineapple. That's like there's no way that, like, someone's going to guess that.
Right, exactly. You'd have to lead them to that, unless one, they were a real psychic, right? And you were reaching through from wherever it was, right?
Yeah. So you don't tell anyone that your code. But yeah, you guys could try that at home. Just make a code with someone, and then see if it's an experiment. You know, it's an ongoing experiment, just to see, like, you know, like I said, we're questioning things, right?
Yeah, that's an idea from, and Daryl said this, but I knew this as well, that Houdini did that, right? I think it was Houdini that actually did that with his wife. Was it his wife at the time? That said they had a code, something like that, so they couldn't be fooled by some charlatan psychic that was saying, you know, your husband's or your wife is reaching, through the ether to tell you this. Well, they'd agreed that if they did try and contact each other, it would start with an actual, with a term, exactly like you're describing there, that something like pineapple. Like it would be sort of out of context and seem strange, but it would also be, okay, well, that psychic is probably in an actual contact with you. Yeah, I love it, man. I love the idea. I mean, what else do we have, right? Daryl says it didn't work. Well, what else do we have?
Yeah, I think that was in that book.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know. So I love the idea. So what else? What do you think about this quantum immortality and the rest of this? Do you think that it is maybe more like this, more science, kind of catching up to the religious ideas of like thousands of years ago?
Yeah, I think there's a connection. I definitely think there's a connection between, like, science can explain this, and yeah, we just always push it off as like, oh, there's just some stupid text or something, a religion. But who's to say? I don't know who's the right or wrong. But this guy that we're talking about tonight, how he said, when you die, you're going through a doorway into, like, an infinite possibility of what could be next. That's what the guy tonight.
Right.
But it's like, my question would be, how many doorways have we already came through?
Yeah, and that's a deep thought there just by itself, because that's what Elon Musk describes as the base reality, right? Describing it. So whether it's a simulation or whether it's this multiverse type of situation, the base reality means where it began. But we don't even know, because you're right. This could be the 10 millionth iteration of what we're doing already, and we wouldn't know, would we? Because you'd have to be able to see through that veil backwards and forward. And we just don't have that technology right now, do we? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a mystery.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
And mysteries are okay. Mysteries are okay, aren't they?
But it's good to talk. It's good to talk about it because it opens up your mind. It makes you think about things, and that's why I love the show, and that's why, like you said, no one's going to talk about this around the water cooler. You
Not
have to come
happening.
here.
Not happening. 100%. It'll probably get you fired. Don't ask your buddy at work what happens when you die.
Yeah. So I appreciate everybody that I met through here, and I appreciate everyone having, like I said, these are some deep conversations that, they just goes on.
It goes on and on. The great conversation continues. God willing, we have tomorrow. We're going to keep talking, my man. You're the best, Matt. Anything else while we got you on?
No, I'm going to go. Thank you, Mike.
You're the best. Thanks a lot, Matt in California. A pleasure talking to you, and thank you for listening. There you go. Thanks for the call. As simple as that, guys. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. And I understand this is a really polarizing topic. Everybody's kind of got an idea what they believe happens. But again, right, I'm challenging you. I'm asking you to challenge yourself, as a matter of fact. What do you believe, right? Not what your pastor told you, not what your mother told you, or your father, or your brother, or sister, or your friend, or your wife, or your husband, or whatever, right? Whatever. I'm not asking what they think. I'm asking what you think. Okay? And that's what I mean, all right? Challenge yourself. What do you actually think about this? What happens when you die? And this scientist concludes here, death does not exist. It's just an illusion. It's a door to pass through that opens many other doors. And also, by the way, have you had a near-death experience? And that's really part of this, as part of the question tonight, is all of that. It's kind of, like I said, this is called The Great Conversation. And we're going to keep punching and keep continuing talking about this stuff because there's no easy place to do this. Even people that are close to you, you bring up some of these topics and they disengage, right? It's an uncomfortable spot. People don't want to be kind of dragged down this road of thought. Because, death seems like one of those situations where it's cold and it's dark, right? And it's, as some people have discussed tonight, that, it is darkness, like people have said, like Matt said, people believe it's just black, nothing, like nothingness, like the void. And then you come back and then you're outside the void. And then, crazy stuff. But think about it this way too, right? What about like an anesthesiologist? And when they put you out for surgery, where do you go? Where do you go? It's that same blackness, right? Like literally like a lack of consciousness. But does that mean death is dead? Because, right, if that was the case, and if you turn the light switch off on your consciousness, then you would be dead when the anesthesiologist puts you under for a surgery, right? So that's not the case, clearly, but I don't know. I just think it goes so many layers deep, this conversation. So once again, looking to hear from you. Daryl, you ready to go? I'm going to bring Daryl on the show. Please mute up the stream and we'll put you on the show. And we'll talk to Daryl from New York in just one moment. If you want to be part of it, give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link, and we'll put you on the show that way as well. We're watching the Discord, watching all the chats, trying to keep up with everybody and all the great ideas because they just keep coming through the chat and through the consciousness, right? And so let me know, Daryl, if you're ready. Actually, let's just bring Daryl on. And what's up, Daryl in New York? Welcome to the show. Can you hear me?
Great show tonight. Great topic.
Thank you. I appreciate you being patient with us, and welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. What are your thoughts? This death does not exist. It's just an illusion. What do you think about that?
Well, I can't find my notes, but I'll try to remember what I wrote down. I had a few things I wanted to mention. One was about the near-death experience, and when people are like on those, like let's say they're on life support, and they're about to, like those families are going to make that decision whether to pull their plug. there was somebody on a few shows. I listened to a few shows about this, and there was one doctor that was, doing near-death experiences with people in that situation, that they were going to be, their, plug was going to get pulled. They had supposedly were brain dead. So when do you really die? Do we really know when death occurs or when life begins? That was like I was going to bring up. When does life really begin, and when does death really occur? So that's a big topic, of course, for abortions, etc. And I heard somebody that was in the religious, sector say that it really doesn't begin till you're actually born and you have a consciousness. You get to be a, something along the line of reincarnation. You get to pick that baby, at the last minute. But if that baby dies, you get to pick another baby, so apparently, according to them, So you don't really die in the womb, you just get to pick another life form. If that one dies prematurely or whatever, gets aborted, there's no moral dilemma as far as he was concerned. Just saying. I'm not going to say, anything about that. But as I told you, going back to the, when do you really die? So are you dead when you're brain dead? And apparently there was some, like two people that came back to life, like, one fellow, they were going to pull the plug, and they waited one extra day. But during those, like, the last few days of supposedly the end of his life, his best friend came in and told him a fishing story every single day until the day where they were going to pull the plug. And, the day they decided to go in and pull the plug, they walked into his room, and he was sitting upright in the bed, totally recuperated. And they were like, "Oh, my God, you're okay." He's like, "Yeah, what happened? Where was I?" Like, he didn't have any memory, really, of how long he was there. But he mentioned to his friend, "By the way, I remember you telling me every single fishing story. I just couldn't reply." So that was like, wow, they were going to pull the plug on him. And I forgot the other story. Something along those lines.
That's okay.
Oh, something.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Anyway, I thought that was...
Yeah, let's talk about that one. So it seems like maybe the fishing stories, maybe plunged into that abyss, right? That lack of consciousness, because he was able to hear, able to reconnect with the living world, maybe, and maybe that was the lifeline, the rope that dragged him back, right? I mean, that sounds pretty amazing,
right? Can you imagine? They would have euthanized him practically, pulling his life support prematurely. So I think you better think twice before you have a DNR, do not resuscitate, because maybe you're not really gone. Even though they say you're brain dead, maybe you're not really. Apparently he wasn't brain dead, and the doctors had assumed they were. So that's kind of scary. Then, all right, I'm not going to go into the other near-death stuff, but I had twice a near-death thing. I was going to mention that. I heard Robert's story. I think I heard Robert tell it. I'm not sure, but I've heard that before. That kind of tribunal that you go in front of, and they don't really judge you, or sometimes they do, or you get to experience all the crappy stuff you've done to people. You get to feel the same feelings that they felt when you did it to them. So you have that kind of empathy. So I don't know. There's a lot to be said for what he's said, because I don't know if it was just him that mentioned the same story. I'm sure I heard it from other people, and it sounds pretty credible. But I don't know how good a life you had to have to deserve that, ending. Because I didn't have the same ending, and I've been there twice. What I assume I was in a near-death situation, and I wasn't anywhere like that. In fact, I was kind of part. I had this feeling that we all get to be all of what we experience. Like, I'll get to be you one lifetime. I'll get to be everybody we experience. We all get our turn. Everyone that we've encountered, everybody we've read about, from the good to the bad to the ugly, We'll get to be Gandhi, and we'll get to be Mother Teresa, and we'll get to be Hitler. We'll get to be everybody that's ever been that lived the same lifetime. But there's like a cycle. It's like we're on a Matterhorn. We're on this kind of ride that's like, it's literally a ride, and it's like a circle, and it's really good. It gets really good, and then it goes back down again, and it's an eternity before you get back to the good part, And I was I was like at the edge of the good part, and I was going to my bad part, and I saw what was ahead of me, and it was a long experience of the bad part. I'm like, oh no, and it hurts. It doesn't feel comfortable, and you know it's going to be bad, and because you've been there before. I was facing this in my near-death moment, and I didn't want to be there. I'm like, what? And the other near-death thing I had in the same kind of experience was I wasn't really anything. I was part of this machine. I was just like a nut in a bolt, and all I had to do was go forward to keep moving, and that was my whole purpose. I had no other purpose. It was so boring, and I thought, oh my God, this is eternity. This is all I'm going to be doing for the rest of eternity. This is terrible. What did I do to get here? I don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here. And the next thing I knew, I was back to reality. So they were very similar the two times I had experienced this thing. And I didn't see the light. I didn't see any dead relatives or dead animals or nothing. Nothing was waiting for me that was good. I don't know what I did wrong, but I didn't think it was that great. Just saying.
But did you actually do something wrong? I would think not. You're here, right? It sounds like you did something right.
I'm assuming I did, and I don't feel like I've been such a bad, but I didn't grow up with a lot of spirituality or religion, so I didn't have a lot of guidance. I'm going to give you a quick story about that, because my father was like the person that Matt was mentioning. He thinks it just there's nothing when you die, just nothing. And if I brought it up, he would not even talk about it. He wouldn't even go there. Like, Daddy, what if? I couldn't say the what if question. He didn't go for the maybe juice, He wouldn't even go there. And he goes, look, you live, you die, that's it, that's it, goodbye. And the sooner you accept that, the better off you'll be. And when he died, I was so empty. I was like, where's my father? And I was married at the time. And my husband said, your father's nowhere, because he had no faith. I'm like, what a thing to say, My father, my husband was so self-righteous,
That's pretty rude. Yeah.
It was terrible, And I needed a sign from my father. I really needed something from the other side to show me that he wasn't gone, that he was somewhere, that he was with me or something. I needed it. I just needed it like I needed air, And I waited for some kind of sign, and I just, I would think about it and, whatever. And one day, it was very quickly, he gave me a sign really fast. I'll give you one example that's the best one I could think of. I found this envelope that was written to me. It said, to Daryl, this is a oyster from a clam. And it was the envelope. I'm like, I remember when he gave it to me, there was a little pearl in there, and I don't know what I did with the pearl. The pearl was gone, but I kept the envelope. And I looked at the envelope, what does this mean? And I looked at the date on it, and it had a date. He put a date on it. He handed it to me. He didn't have to put a date on it. He didn't mail it. He handed it to me. But you know what the date was?
What was it?
It was the day he died, August 17th.
Ooh. Wow.
And he didn't, is that something? He didn't have the year, the year he gave it to me. There was no year on it. It was just the date, August 17th. And he died on August 17th in 2008. But that he must have given it to me in the 80s or something. I held that envelope forever. I have everything I've ever owned because I always had an apartment,
That's
I always
incredible.
had my own apartment.
What a huge
Is that a good
coincidence.
story?
Yeah, Daryl,
Yeah.
hang on. So we're gonna end up the show here on Fringe, but stay with us, okay? I'll mute you and we'll come right back to you. Don't go anywhere. I want to ask you about this. Amazing stuff.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing, Daryl. We'll be right back with you. Everybody out there listening, if you're listening on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop, Lighting the Void. If you're listening on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. As we finish, we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. right, we're going to keep on trucking here. Thanks, Daryl, for being patient with us. We're going to do, we got more Troubled Minds coming up a third hour, but we're here with Daryl, so we're going to skip the break and just go straight back to Daryl. I hate to cut her story off there because that was a fantastic story. And Daryl, welcome back to the show.
Oh, is this the third hour?
We're in the third hour. Congratulations, we made it. We made it, third hour.
So that wasn't the only that was the most amazing coincidence that my father showed me. And when I found that letter, I don't know if you got goose pimples when I told you that story, but
I did.
I certainly had.
I did.
Yeah. It gave me those goosebumps, and I knew he was with me. And then from then on, like I've been able to ask my father for the most ridiculous things, but like, you know, a toothpick or something. Whenever I needed something and I couldn't find it, I'd be like, Daddy, I really need to find my keys. And I swear to God, immediately they'll turn up. You know, I've been looking for them for half an hour. But as soon as I ask my father, Daddy, I can't find this. Boom, there's my pocketbook. Like looking everywhere for it. And there it is. You know, he'll just show it to me. I forget to do that a lot. You know, I should really ask him. Because if you don't ask, you know, you're not going to get it. So I really felt like, you know, I haven't done it lately, but I think I should. But there was a lot of proof. It was just crazy. Like I was looking at all these things under my bed that my mother or father had saved, all my letters from my friends when I was little. And they all mentioned my dad. Like, it was just crazy. Like, everybody said something about my father. And it was as if they were talking to me today, you know, like that day, you know. It was like the 2 days after he had passed. And I just really needed some kind of comfort, something to connect me to him. And it was there. It was so there, and it was so current. Everything. Some of the people that I was reading letters from had already died, and I'm thinking, wow, like, how did they know? Like it was as if they were dead and they were with my dad. Like in letters, that was like it said something about the present, but it was so much about what they were going through, like immediately. And there was one letter that I found from my old boyfriend, and I hadn't talked to him for years. And I later found out, I'm thinking, oh, God, my father hated him. Why would I see anything from him to my dad? And sure enough, he had mentioned about my father, something about my dad. And I'm like, oh, that's impossible. He's not dead. And I found out later he had died a month before my father died. So he was there before my father. So everything was like so correct, you know?
Holy smokes, yeah. Yeah, so there are signs. There, like even though your father was just the most staunch non-believer, there were signs that you asked for it and you got it quickly. Good thing too, right? Because that could shatter you for a long time, couldn't it? Just thinking about that abyss, that void, that darkness, that forever darkness. It's what a horrific thought. What a horrific thought.
What he believed that. And then, like, my mother was such an atheist as well, and I find out after she dies that she was a Catholic. She was here's a Jewish woman brought up Jewish, but she was like a little girl. And she was a little girl. She went to this like nunnery in the summertime. My grandmother, you know, couldn't take care of her kids, so she would put them in foster care. And they were like the same like nunnery that you've heard about, that nun that saved a lot of Jews in the war in Europe. She's kind of famous for saving a lot of Jewish children. She hid them in her school. And this was before the war, that my mother was in that country like environment, and she went to Catholic school. That was what they did. So she had to go to Catholic school if she wanted to go to school. And she heard Jesus is calling her name, apparently. She told this to my friend. She never told me. Never, because she would like poo-poo, you know, if I talked about anything spiritual. Oh, you know, you believe in God. Like, she'd make fun of me. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I would have totally been cool about it. She could have talked to me about anything. I don't know why she, you know, held up that facade that she, you know, was a non-believer, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So back to that. I think that's, like I said, there's nothing more depressing than just eternal darkness, right? But again, like just in that binary switch, if it's still going, and right, like you're meaning life is happening. And it is what it is, and then you just flick the switch and it's off like a light, and it's darkness forever, right? But what about, you've had surgery, right? What about that anesthesia? Like I said, you go somewhere, right? Like like that consciousness is flicked off like the light, like death would be, right? So if they never brought you back from that, it would be death. You see what I'm saying? Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced surgery with that anesthesia?
definitely. You really go dark. Yeah, it's like it's almost like a burp through time. You know, you don't go anywhere. You really are nowhere. I don't know why the anesthesia just puts you into not nowhere land. You know, because like you come out of it as if nothing ever happened. It's like, where was I? What happened? You're done. You can't even believe something happened because it's so dark. It's like nothingness, you know, and you come to pretty quickly, so you're not even high. Oh, you're high going into it, so it's kind of nice, you know. You get into like this la la land, and you have to count to like numbers to 100, and you're like giddy, and you're making jokes, and suddenly you're gone. And when you come to, it's like, what happened? You know, you're done. Are you sure? It's kind of wild. Yeah, that is a nothingness. I don't know if that's just part of your consciousness that they turn off. How do they turn it off?
Exactly. Like I think that's the question, right? Like where do you go when that happens? And then, so not only that, it's almost like a time travel experience, right? Like lost time, like if you got abducted by aliens, like they say, right? Like literally. So it's like, they're like, okay, 3, 2, 1, boom, you're out. You're out. Yeah. And then instantly, boom, you're back, right? Yeah. And you're groggy and you're like, WTF just happened. But some weirdness, right? There's some you went somewhere. Where did you go?
And if they do it artificially, so you probably can do it. Like, you know, you could do it to yourself. I'm thinking, you know, it can be done. You can do it to yourself, but can you get yourself out of it? You know, you don't want to go that dark. I don't know. There's a part of your consciousness that's is zero, or maybe it's so. I don't know. I heard this about Michael Jackson, that Michael Jackson was taking that same stuff that makes you go out like that to sleep. He went for 2 months on this stuff, propofol. It's an anesthesia drug.
Yes.
But he liked to do to go to sleep, and he didn't dream on it. They know you don't dream on it. It's a fact. You're right that you don't dream on it. There's nothing going on. You don't have rapid eye movement or nothing. It's a real anesthesia. So it's really so you go somewhere black. Like, why would they even choose that? Or it just like they fell upon it and it worked. You know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Without the dream state. So you shut it off. Yeah, it is weird. It is a weird thing. And that's what I mean, right? So we're you know, Todd said this a long time ago. You know, he can be a cynic and a cynical asshole. What's up, Todd? I'm talking to you. So rebel junglist, my good buddy Todd. The very second guy ever in this stream back in Troubled Minds, by the way. He's been with us for 3.5 years. So I feel like I can call him an asshole. What's up, Todd? But he's always cynical though, right? He's always like, hey, you know, like this stuff is not right. It's like death is death, and that's that, right? We move on, and you know, we die. And his take is what he's been saying in the chat is that we can't perceive human things regarding things that are not human, and whatever that passage is not a human thing. And so just shout out to Todd. What's up? I'm reading your chat there. Thank you for softening your stance against and getting along with others. I appreciate that. All right. So I don't know. Like where I don't know. Like final thought on this, Daryl. What do you think? What happens when you die? If you gotta, okay. So how about this? What do you think happens? And then what do you, if you were the ruler of the universe and you got to choose what happens, what would it be? Why don't we get both takes?
I don't know. I think they did something right with giving us this amnesia. You know, we die and we have this amnesia and we come back and we don't remember anything. Because if we had to face the fact that we'd go through this over and over again, I think we would go mad. I think it would be something that would be, you know, definitely something you would go mad about. If you were able to remember your past lives and you'd be like, oh no, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go through this again and again. Oh no, you know, oh no, Cleopatra. Oh no, I don't want to go through that war again. I don't want to, you know, you just don't want to be involved in all the, you know, I'm sure there's some wonderful things about it, you know, or do you get to do it right? I don't know. I think, I don't know. I always think like in my next life, am I going to get that guy, you know, the guy that married the next girl after me, you know, am I going to get to love him next lifetime, you know, whatever, you know, I don't know. I always think about that. Like, do you get to correct things you didn't do right? Or are you going to get a better chance or a different chance? Or maybe you're going to get a worse chance? You know, who knows? I think it's what makes life so damn interesting. And I think they keep us kind of childlike and innocent about it because it would be too much to handle. I don't think we can handle a lot of stuff that we have to handle, let alone, the wisdom of the universe would be just way too much. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we're built for that. We're definitely not built for that. Like Matt said, I think mystery is part of being human, and that's certainly the final mystery, as they say, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. It would be nice to know for a minute and then forget it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Kind of like a little knowledge. Just that one show that we get to know all the secrets of the universe. We'll have that one guest or two guests that come on and say, "Well, this is what happens."
Right.
I wrote a book.
Buy my book. Sign up to my Patreon. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I mean, right? I think that's part of the problem with when too many people have answers. I think it ends up being a not a good thing. Not a good thing. So we got James on the caller queue. I got a phone call we got to get to. We got to take a break as well. Daryl, you're the best. If you want to stay right there, just go ahead and mute up and you can listen right from that spot. I know how juggling the stream back and forth is. If you want to just stay right there, you're more than welcome to. And all right, so this is the deal, right? We're going to do this. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. I got you, Stephen, in Tennessee. We're going to go to your phone call as soon as we get back, and then we'll go to James after that. Ash says he wants to jump on for the back half of the show here as well. So, all right, so stay tuned. Stephen in Tennessee, don't go anywhere. Just a quick break. I'm going to go fill my drink. I'm going to hit the restroom, and we're going to keep on trucking. Third hour of Trouble Minds coming up. You guys don't go anywhere. We got a couple phone calls already lined up, and we're still talking about, of course, what is it? What happens when we die. So if you want to be part of this show, 702-957-1037. We're still taking your phone calls because your phone calls are what make this show go around. One more time, Stephen, don't go anywhere. 2 minutes, I'll be right with you. Everybody else, take a 2-minute break, fill up your drink, grab some popcorn, put the kids to bed, do what you got to do. We will be right back with more Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere. All right, fibbed. Less than 2 minutes. Sometimes we take a little more. Sometimes we take a little less. We got people waiting on the phone lines. Let's go right back to it. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Let's go to Stephen in Tennessee. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
Hey, Mike. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Pretty good. For a Monday, I can't complain. Who else gets to have such deep conversations every Monday? Welcome to the show.
Man, I love it. Yeah, I've been listening to the show for a while and wanted to go ahead and touch base with you finally. I had a night where I could do it, and I love the topic. I think this is one of the topics I said earlier in the chat that this is, I think, one of the topics that brings a lot of people to the spirituality, religion, whatever it may be kind of thing. So many people out there searching for answers and wanting to know, and I think this brings people to the game, as it will, So I've kind of been taking some notes, and I wanted to jump back through some things that y'all had talked about earlier.
Sure, go right ahead.
One of the things you had mentioned was like string theory thing, and how, are there infinite, versions of us out there? And I think absolutely there are. If you think about it, if the universe and, everything we know of is what we call infinite, that means it never stops. There's never an end. So based on that, the law is infinity. That means that there's an infinite number of yous, an infinite number of me's, and an infinite number of everyone else listening and out there in this world, right? Every kind of consciousness. There's an infinite number of it. I believe also that like every choice we make spawns off alternate realities. Like me, for instance, I had a choice to make when I was younger in my life. It was either I could stay playing music professionally and go on the road and live that life, or stay where I live and have a family, raise my kids, things like that. And so in this life, I decided to, be the father and, be here for my kids and the woman who ended up being my wife. And I think in some other version of reality, I'm out there, touring and playing music somewhere. Something like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. So because why not? There are those infinite possibilities, and so like they say, right? String theory goes a little something like this: is that every decision that's made, and it may be a conscious decision, like Night Stalker has said, our friend Derek in Massachusetts. If it was like every action, like if when you drop a ball, if it bounces left and it bounces right, those are two string theory type of situations. I don't think it's like that. I think it's more like it is our consciousness is built into this, and so we're linked to those other versions of us.
Yeah.
So it's conscious decisions. It's not just random, because that would be an unbelievable amount of universes. I mean, there probably already is anyway, but I mean that would just be absurd. Every tiny little thing that could go one way or the other is a whole new universe. That's just nuts. But I'm with you. I agree in that science says it's probably true, and what Matt said too, which is mind-boggling, is what if it's not even the first time we've walked through that doorway, and this is the 10th or 100th or 10,000th iteration of this same thing, or even a different thing, just similar. Who knows, man? I like where you're going with this, but just go ahead, continue. I'm sure you got some good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree with you there. It does need to be a conscious decision, because consciousness, in the end, is what really it's all about. It's where we came from. It's the singularity, the source, whatever you want to call it. I call it the divine source. Is what we're headed back to. It's where we came from. We started out as pure energy and spirit, and we've fallen down, so to speak, into this most dense form of matter possible. And the point is to gain experience. And what the one caller was saying, like, do I live a life as you? And, well, eventually I think what happens is, as we all evolve spiritually through the lives we live, our energy raises up through the dimensions, and we eventually become kind of like Ra talked about in the Law of One. We talk about coming like a collective consciousness, right? And, that's the way I look at it. And my kind of theories and things I've gotten, it comes everywhere from Emanuel Swedenborg to Blavatsky, to, all kinds of different religions, a little bit of everything. And what I believe is that every, school of thought and spirituality and every religion, they have a piece of the puzzle. And I think the key is not to discredit any of them, but to find that piece that resonates with you and plug it into your overall quilt, or whatever it may be, of your belief. And I believe what happens, though, is Robert was talking about the process and what happens when we die, and I believe he's pretty much right on. Now, I also believe that, we don't always just go to a perfectly beautiful, great place. I believe that where our thoughts lie is where we end up. So if we're a negative person who has constantly been hurting people and making pain in people's lives, that we're going to end up in a place that resonates and vibrates with that, because whatever our vibration is where we will gravitate to. We'll be with those kind of like-minded souls and like-minded people. And I think through a series of lives, we eventually can level up, is what I say. We level up our souls, as we live different lives. And, I believe there's probably 7 dimensions, maybe 12. And the 8 dimensions, actually. The way I look at it is, it's like a music scale, right? You have like the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do being the 8th, and it's the beginning of the 1 again, right? Do you follow?
Yeah, I do. I get what you're saying there. It's, I think it's complicated.
And,
right?
Okay, and to
go ahead,
build on that,
go ahead.
It is. But what I'm saying is, as we build up through these dimensions, densities, whatever you want to call it, we literally go into the next octave, which is a higher state of being, which might be the angelic or archangelic, kind of being. By that point, we're a collective consciousness as a society. We've evolved far, far beyond this plane, and so yeah, that's kind of how I think it works. I think we literally level up through the dimensions and octaves, and eventually we all have to turn to the good side, the positive side eventually. Like, you can go through a lot of these dimensions as a negative entity, as we feel around us. But I think at a certain point, you can't go any further unless you are about unity, unless you're about, service to others and, being a good entity, self, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, interesting that maybe so let's say you just toss the idea of a creator out at all, and so our own conscious manifestation of our intention is that heaven or hell, is that whatever, like you said, old things, cliches, you reap what you sow sort of situations, right? So like you were
right.
saying that maybe universally it's built in, this idea of heaven and hell, but it all resides in us, ourselves. And we actually inflict it on ourselves because we know what's wrong, or what's wrong, what we do that's wrong. Like on a base level, people know what's right and wrong. You don't need a pastor or a teacher or a mentor or on a base level. Just because you ignore it doesn't mean it's not right or not wrong anymore. It's still right. There's a base level of treating people with respect and this type of thing, right? I don't know, man. I love the ideas here, and I don't know. So let me ask you then: are you a spiritual guy? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. Religious?
Yeah, no, extremely. I've literally. This has been my goal since I was a young child, is to delve into everything I can, and I study this stuff for hours a day when I'm not working or when I'm not with family. And this is really all it's about for me is this. And there's probably no kind of spirituality mode or divination or anything I haven't at least gleaned a little bit from.
Okay, so if you
but I definitely believe there is a God, a higher power. I don't think it's a conscious God, though. That's the thing. I think we all together, all consciousness in the universe, make up the one God. We are all one. Everything is one, and that is God in total.
Okay, I like it. So kind of like I described, it's we end up becoming the God as such because it's the universe tapped into us and also tapped in back. It's kind of like an exchange of energies, and I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's almost like a Gnostic kind of viewpoint.
Yeah, Yeah, I got you. I understand.
There's couple other things that I was going to say, and then I'll let the next person get on and start rapping with you.
Sure.
But the thing about what happens when we die, like not so much like the steps like Robert was talking about earlier, but like whether we go to a good place or a bad place, and really that comes down to us. And the whole thing with the weighing your heart against a feather, that has to do not so much with what you've done to other people and if they are able to get past it and forgive you, but it has to do with, are you able to forgive yourself? Because that really becomes, in the end, the most important thing. Because in the end, on the other side especially, everyone does forgive everyone else. Once we realize that you are me, I am you, we are all sharing in this consciousness pool that, can I forgive myself for the harms I've done to other people? And what they're saying about when we are on the other side, when we do have that life review, it's certain that we see the things we've done that hurt people, and we experience those negative emotions from their perspective. There's a story about this soldier who he had killed these guys, and he had a near-death experience. And in the near-death experience, he was the Korean soldier, and he could see himself running up to this soldier and killing him, and then feeling the feelings that this man went through when he was killed by the soldier having the near-death experience. So, we definitely experience those things that we've done to others that have hurt them and, maybe lowered our vibration a little or whatever it, may be. Like everyone else, I don't claim to have all the answers. I think there's a few things that I have a pretty good grasp on, but, we can't know everything. If there's infinity out there, not possible.
Yeah. It's some questions are too large, but again, right? I'm not afraid of that. I think that's part of the thing here. Why we do this in the format we do, invite everybody to come together and talk about these things, is because I think you have to have a little bit of fearlessness to kind of shout at the universe, to kind of expect things, demand things, answers. Even if answers are so large for humanity, I still think it's okay to ask, I don't expect them, right, in terms of like, here's the answers to the universe, Mike. But I do think it's okay to ask unafraid for those answers, right? And so get as close as we can as humans can do. And that's what we're here doing, man. That's I appreciate you chiming in tonight. First-time caller, am I right?
Yeah. I've been wanting to call in for a while, and I just want to say that the way you do run your show and the format and everything, and letting everybody have a voice and feel like they matter is doing a service for humanity and those of us who listen. And the ripple effect caused by that is greater than you'll ever know. So you'll see it one day.
Thank you. I appreciate that you appreciate it. Like I said, there's only so much of this that is for me, because like I always say, and it's true, I could be saying these things that I'm saying to you guys, to whoever may be listening, and you never know how far the reach goes, right? People all over the world. But if I'm saying the same things I'm saying to myself, muttering in the corner, I'm saying them for myself, for my own benefit. But the second you do it in this format, it no longer becomes about me at all. It becomes about us. And I appreciate that you get it. That's what this is about. You're the best, man. Please call back. Don't be a stranger. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, definitely, Mike. Thank you a lot. I appreciate you guys. And I love all the regulars out there, and just want to say you guys all are awesome. And it's a pleasure to listen to you and be a part of this thing.
Appreciate it, brother. Stephen in Tennessee, the pleasure is ours. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Please call back as soon as you can. Have a great one. There you go. Simple as that, right? And that's why we do it this way. You want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037 to put you on the show. We got James has been waiting here. Let's go to James, and then Kelly whenever you're ready to. James, welcome to the show. What's up, buddy? James from Salcedo Paranormal. Finally, you didn't have to be the first caller, my friend.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting. I mean, I'm always glad when so many great calls tonight. I love this topic, and I love hearing everyone's thoughts.
Agreed, 100%. So what are your thoughts on this regarding what happens when you die and the rest of this quantum immortality and all the rest?
Well, I think it's pretty clear to anyone that knows me that I do think that something can happen after we die, and I don't think there is just darkness. I don't think we all just, that's it after we die. Just because of the things I look into regarding the paranormal, supernatural, ghosts and spirits and all that. So, but even putting that aside, I just love this article that you mentioned. And I love it whenever science tries to approach this stuff. Because it doesn't do it all the time. It seems like it's a rare thing.
Well, I think they're always trying to do it. I think that probably it's semantics, right? I mean, because I think science in and of itself is really trying to find God, right? I think this is the weirdness of, right? We're trying to find the nature of our reality through science. And so that kind of means God, right? I mean, or whatever the source is, or what have you. I use that term not to be blasphemous or anything. I just use the term because that's what most people are familiar with. But I think that's what science is doing. Even though, right, it's like different classifications of science, different niches and sub niches. I'm with you. Like I wish they would be more broad stroke sometimes than they are, but then that would be less science and more something else. So I get what you're saying, but I think when you boil it down, that's what they're after in the end. They want to know the secrets, and like Matt said, I agree. I don't think we're meant to know some of these secrets. And that's
definitely.
But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I guess I didn't even phrase that right. Just to think of that right. It doesn't seem like that is talked about a lot in media, even if scientists are looking into it. So, but that's the interesting thing to me, because there has been debate in the paranormal community now for years about whether or not quantum, the whole quantum thing has anything to do with the paranormal, and I think it's an interesting question. And I don't claim to know the answer to that, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, hey, that's some maybe juice, bro. Possible is good enough for me. We'll take that. 100%, man. I don't know. Like, okay, so I love it. Let me ask you this: what about that turning the switch on and off? Have you ever gone under surgery and had that anesthesia where they just clicked you off and clicked you back on?
Sorry.
What happens there?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know. It's interesting that everyone describes it in a similar way, because I had the same thing where I was when I was a kid. I had my tonsils removed, and I just know I was in there. I went in the hospital, and I barely remember any of this, but I went in the hospital, and I was in the room, and then I was out, and then I was back out, or back awake, and I was in another room. So I don't know what happens. I feel like it's a strange kind of sleep, but I don't know what kind it is. I don't even know if it's. I feel like if we were totally being switched off, maybe there would be more stories of people having out-of-body experiences during that. Anesthesia and all that. And I don't feel like I hear that a lot.
Yeah, so it's like and like Daryl was describing there too, it's kind of like knocking out the dream state. It's like removing that consciousness. It's weird, man. The whole thing is just freaking weird.
It is. But I think that's the key, is that there's not tons of stories about people going through like regular, even though it's not really a thing, but regular surgeries. I don't hear about a lot of out-of-body experiences during those, compared to near-death experiences, I should say. So, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, and there you go. So good on you, because you're able to say, I don't know. So many people are not able to say that. And I'm with you. I'm with you, brother. I have no idea. This is the type of stuff that like I said, this is a conversation that could go on for ages, and it's a good thing. It's good to kind of stretch the legs there. You do a paranormal podcast, by the way. Everybody follow Salcedo Paranormal. I'm not going to try and give the link out because I screwed it up last time, but the link is down below. Every single show we do, James's link is just scroll down and look, and it's right there. But so what do you think, like paranormal wise, when you pass over and the ghost phenomena, being the paranormal guy, what do you think, how does that relate to what happens when you die? Do you think it is kind of like that linear, you die, you become a ghost situation, or do you think it's much more complicated?
I think it's always complicated. I think, and we were talking about this in the after show chat the other night. I think sometimes a lot of your ghost phenomenon revolve around the mindset of the person, and that they may not think of themselves as being able to do ghostly things like walk through walls or open and close doors without I guess that's not the best, but walking through walls, floating up or down. That's why in some cases you may hear doors opening and closing. It may be them still going through activities that they had to do when they were physical, and there's too many stories of people. I mean, Daryl said it herself. Too many stories of people having experiences with their loved ones after they passed. That all to be made up or mistaken, I think. So I think it's a lot of possibilities as to what can happen. I don't know that. And it's so complicated because you don't hear of every person you've ever known necessarily always coming back and giving you a sign right away, even after a while. So again, it goes back to the unknown. It's great to look into this stuff, but it's hard to. We're not supposed to know for sure how it works.
Exactly. As people, I think we're only allowed to know so much. And you notice, right, within the realm of influence, people have influence on other people. And I think that kind of tells you what you need to know, right, about about maybe why we're here. Clearly it's about ourselves, but it's also about other people. Imagine, right? Everybody's like, in this big grumpy commute mood and the work, and dealing with people that are different from themselves. I know it's hard. I'm old. I've spent a lot of time in corporate America, and it's difficult. It's difficult. I was a manager for a long time, dealing with so many different people. But then also there's different levels of management and different styles of people, and some people are just malicious assholes, and some people are just really kind and don't know how to speak up for themselves, right? And sometimes just need a boost, like they need help from other people, and I think that probably boils it down to why these conversations are what they are. Is I think people need help sometimes, and our influence as people are for people, and that's pretty much all we can influence. No matter how you line it up, no matter what kind of magic you're trying to say you're doing, or this, that, the other thing, the influence that happens from people is for people. And I don't know, to boil it down, I guess that's probably the easiest way for me to put it. That if you stare at the stars your entire life and never look down at the people around you, you may know a lot about the stars, but you may be missing a lot of people that need some help too.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why it's so important that shows like yours exist, to give people that chance to talk about this stuff. Really do.
We're trying, man. We're trying, doing our best. As you know, you're a huge part of this, and I appreciate all your knowledge and all your takes on this stuff. Fantastic. So we got a show coming up. James will be on the show this Thursday, and what are we going to talk about, James? You've been doing some research, getting ahead of the game here.
I've been working on every other day or so. Yeah. The idea of portals in doorways and closets and windows, just kind of portals in everyday spaces, and how they're formed and why they're formed, and why there are so many stories, especially about closets. That's a really common thing. It's going to be interesting to look into that, and I found a few articles, which reminds me, I need to get those to you this week. I'll do that before Thursday.
Sure.
But yeah, it should be fun. I think it should be interesting, and I'm looking forward to people calling in, talk about that as well on that day.
Amen. Exactly. That's why we do it. Okay, so we got James here, and James, you're welcome to stay. You can hang out if you like. We got Kelly as well. So
sure.
Kelly, whenever you're ready, hop on in here. Ash, by the way, I don't know if Ash is still listening. Ash wanted to give us the remote viewer take as well. So if you're out there, Ash, still listening, just hop in here, and we'll mix you in. We got James and Kelly here, and Daryl's in listening as well. Kelly in Colorado, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, okay, man. Doing well.
Trying to get comfortable here.
That's okay. You're allowed, bro. So what is going on with this? It seems like one of the most basic questions humans can ask, right? And like I always say, you're told from the time you're born, as soon as you can actually comprehend conscious thought, it's like don't die, right? It's like the first thing we learn, right? The first thing that we're like, okay, don't walk in front of a car because you'll die, right? Okay, all right, don't do that. But then, right, we spend the rest of our entire life learning on what dying even means. So, what are your thoughts there, my friend?
Let's see here. Like anybody else, we probably don't have the answer to that right now, but I just want to give, I had a near-death experience. This has happened when I was a teenager. And I held it to myself for quite some time, actually. And I don't know. I kind of hid what I seen and what I did when I died until not just probably just about a few years ago. I started telling the story, but it was first off, it was fucking mind blowing because of how it happened. I'll give you the gist of it, right? I used to get tonsillitis a lot when I was younger, and I don't know. I guess I caught like a cold or something with it, and I was really sick, and I couldn't really hold anything down. I mean, I was probably dying, but you know, you don't got much money when you're growing up. You know what I mean? Your parents, we only had a single mother, so at the time she was probably at work. But I remember I woke up. Well, I got out of bed because I was dry heaving, and I went into the bathroom. And as a young kid, you don't want to kind of see it yourself throwing up. So I closed my eyes. And, after a while, it was just, I did throw up, but then it was, after a while, it was just kind of like a dry heaving, And I remember, this is what's so weird about it. I remember closing my eyes because I could feel the dry heaving come. So I closed my eyes because I didn't want to see it, right? If I was to throw up or not. But when I woke up, when I opened my eyes, I was expecting to see the same thing, like the toilet bowl or something. But when I opened my eyes, I see myself laying on the ground, and I'm laying between the toilet and the bathtub. And at first, I didn't know what to fucking think. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I'm like, "Who is that?" Or what am I looking at? And when that happened, when I realized, because I was sat there for, I don't know, probably like about 30 seconds, kind of fighting with my own mind of what the fuck I'm looking at. And then after that, I started floating. I felt the sensation of floating upwards. And when I did so, I left the room. I went through the ceiling, and I could see. Then I was outside. At the time, we lived in these apartment buildings, and I could see all the apartment buildings. And when I was looking around, at this whole time, I'm still floating upwards. You know what I mean? Going up. So I could see the apartment building, then I could see, because we lived behind the junior high, at the junior high I used to go to. And then I seen the whole city I lived at, and then and this was at night, so then I was in space, and I could see the light from the Earth, and then the planet itself, and then I just turned, away from the Earth, and I just started headed, I guess, towards Pluto or whatnot. I don't know what direction it exactly was, but I was no longer in my solar system. I was watching planets, stars, everything just flying by. And then I think finally I kind of realized, I don't know if I realized I was dead, or if I just realized I'm doing an out-of-body experience. But it was something that I wasn't really controlling. I was going into a direction, and then it just stopped. And then I was just standing in the middle of space, in the middle of nowhere. Then I flipped around and went back the opposite direction twice as fast. So I seen all the planets that I seen, all the stars, all the space, my solar system, what we know of, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, the planet Earth, the lights from the dark city to my town, through the roof, and then in my body. And the crazy thing about it is when I hit my body, I came up like I was sucking in air, and I kicked myself off the side of the toilet against the wall, and I realized that just happened. Now, the interesting part about that is that when I was, like I said, I didn't start telling the story till about a few years ago. And I was telling my wife. But then I told my brother. But the interesting part is that, you hear other people that have near-death experiences, and they say that they see a white light or even Jesus or like family members or whatnot. I didn't see any of that. What I seen was space. And what I seen was interesting to the fact that when I heard somebody else talk about their near-death experience, it was the exact same thing. They were out of their body. They went to space, and they seen planets. And the thing about it was the person who said it was Robert Greer, the guy that's about disclosure. He had a near-death experience, and his near-death experience was the exact same thing that I had. That because when I sat here and listened to what he said he seen when he died was the exact. Well, I wouldn't say the exact same thing, but it was the exact same motion. You know what I mean? You left your body and you went to space, and you were floating around there for a while until you came back. Like something drew you back. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was weird. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just something. And, I don't know if people say that, whatever you're being taught through your whole life, what life and death is. And then if you're a religious person, that, you'll obviously see whatever that your religion has been telling you your whole life. So that's the only thing that I kind of I see, because that's one of the main reasons why I'm an atheist, because I'm not stuck to any kind of religion that profounds my life toward the fact that that's the only thing that I would look into. Because you hear a lot of people talk about, the same goodness, and you hear the same, they kind of say that they want to, they talk the game about how, everybody could just live in harmony or whatever. But that's not the case, because if it was the case, then they would leave their religion. I wouldn't say so much as leave it out the door, but they would leave that book and then pick up another book of another religion, and so forth and so on until you have what you're really looking for. Because if, it's kind of like what's the name was saying, the last caller. I didn't really catch the name because new caller, but it's kind of like the same thing where, you want to look into something, right? But if you're told that your whole life, that since you were growing up as a kid, how are you going to know any difference unless you drop what you're doing and start learning from other things, whether they be books or they be, the stuff that I would do, like, ancient stuff that I do, or even, where the original base of all religions might want to even come from. So it's like looking for that same source. You know what I'm saying?
Oops, I muted myself. Yeah, I got you. I understand. I think the thing is that, we know, knowledge doesn't come from one book, right? It's a partial. Sure, you can learn things from that book, right? Which is just a sliver of human knowledge forever. So, to kind of end there and just say that, in my opinion, again, I'm not crapping on religious people. I'm just saying that, look, more knowledge is better. That's what I'm saying, right? And I know Kelly agrees with me. You don't have to be stuck in the Quran or the Bible or whatever. Like, you don't have to be stuck. Sometimes it's painful. You hear these people and they try, and every single thing is linked back to doctrine somehow. And it's like, wait though, right? Like literally every damn thing doesn't have to relate back to this book. You realize there are other books, right? There are other damn books out there. And not only that, there are other books that are, blasphemy might actually enhance your experience and your understanding of the book itself. I mean, I know you're with me, Kelly. We talk about this stuff a lot, you and I. We go way back. Like I said, Todd's been here for a very long time with us, so have you. But the secrets are the secrets. But if you try to find all the secrets of the universe within one book, I'm sorry, I think you're going to come up short.
Yeah, I mean, they will always end up short because that's the thing. If you're trying to find secrets of the universe, that's the whole point. It's the universe. It's not just one thing. So, and again, and see, and this is not a bash. And see, and this is not the thing. I don't do bashing on religions. What I do is that I'm trying. What I try to do is like and I have conversations with different friends, different religions, whether and it's a wide variety because I've been around the world and I've seen and done many things. But the thing about it is, for me, what it is for I would like to see someone, because and then you hear like, oh, this is the thing, okay? So it's hard for me to. I'm trying to get it all out into, so I don't want to step on anybody's shoes or toes or anything. But
yeah, it's tough. It's tough because you end up. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So for me, this is how I see it as. Okay, so if religion is a choice. Okay, for me, that's how I believe, and the choice is sometimes not even yours because you were born into it. And so if you were born in India, you're mostly going to be Hindu, you know what I mean? Or like Chinese, or in some Asian countries, you're going to be Buddhism. Or, obviously, you could be in like United States or in other countries that have Christianity, but Christianity has 2,000 different varieties, They're not, and that's what blows my mind too. If there's so many different varieties of this certain religion, I mean, that don't even make sense to me. It's like you guys are supposed to be all reading from a different book, but you all got different little, your own little twist on it. But see, and that's what all religion does anyway, because from everything that I've read, right, and everything that I've ran across, I mean, it's like you can still keep going older than what these so-called books are. Anyway, besides that, the point where I was going at is that if you want the knowledge and see and feel, you got to put all those things into the things that you're doing. You can't just read. You know what I mean? And with reading, you got to open up your imagination. That's what most people do, because when you're reading somebody else's imagination. You know what I mean? You're kind of reflecting, so you're kind of putting that little story together in your own mind. But at the same time, when you're trying to find the clues of, okay, let's say, you were, let's say, a supreme being. You don't want to just drop it off in one spot and be like, all right, get the whole nest egg like an Easter egg. And, if you find the gold one, then you got it all. You got to, if the knowledge was on this earth, you want to, if it is that powerful, because of some of the stuff that I've come across, we are very powerful, and there's reasons why. Now, the fact that you want to put this knowledge out, it's, of course, I don't know, man, it's not supposed to be given out to just everybody and anybody, because the type of power that it holds within you as a person, or even as, as a species, it can't, And everything has choices. It's either, that's where everybody gets the whole good and bad thing, and those are just choices. But at the same time, some of those choices that people make is not something that they did. I mean, because there is good and bad, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I look at it now as, some people that were bad at one point, they wasn't like that. They were just a kid. Something happened to them, something, that they ran across, something that altered their reality into a point where, sometimes they can't come back, and, they end up being like a psycho killer, or, something like that. So it's hard to almost, but like after a while, man, you would think that, as you grow older, the difference between good and bad, and some of the shit you shouldn't be doing. And, it's just like a drug. It shit just going to take over you. So at a certain point, it is on you, you know what I mean? Because you're the one that's allowing that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Interestingly, so back to your thank you for sharing the story about your near-death experience there, Kelly. I know you're probably familiar with Lord of the Rings. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay. I'm going to play this. Can you tell me if you can hear this real quick? I'm going to play just a little clip. If you guys can't hear it, I won't play it. I want to make sure the people on Discord can hear it. I think you can. Let's see. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to play this. This is the scene when Gandalf actually dies. And you probably noticed a correlation to exactly what you've described for your own near-death experience. So let's play this. Let's see if it actually comes through here. He says, "Darkness took me."
Darkness took me, and I strayed out of thought and time. The stars wheeled overhead, and every day was as long as a life age of the earth. But it was not the end. I felt life in me again. I've been sent back until my task is done.
There you go. That's probably enough right there. That's the end of that clip. But right? Like, holy smokes, man. You basically just described the Gandalf death sequence, right? He even like took the breath like as he came back, like you described yourself, like you saw yourself and you moved out into time and space outside of it, including, wow. I'm sure you've probably noticed that similarity before, haven't you?
Oh man, now that I just heard that again, that almost gave me chills, because the point where he says that when you're in time and standing there in time and space, he said that he felt like a new life was in him. And that's exactly what it felt like. Like whatever I was going through I didn't feel it anymore. I didn't, you know what I mean? Everything was like I had a smile on my face because, you know what I mean? I was flowing through space. I was scared at first because, fuck, man, it was so weird. It was because sitting and looking at empty darkness of space, but yet you could see life millions of miles away, which would be a star. There's other planets around it. But yeah, it was, fuck, man, it was, I don't know even how to really explain it. It was just, I would say that was probably one of the better descriptions of what it was.
J.R.R. Tolkien. And it's weird, right? Some of these authors, again, they seem prophetic. And and again, this is fiction, except, right, clearly you don't write fiction without having, some human semblance to the construction, or else it's not art. And so, man, I'm telling you, like as you were describing that situation with yourself, I saw Gandalf, bro. I'm like, holy crap, he said this is almost the same thing. And so I dug it out and found it. I'll put the clip in here if you guys want to watch it. Can play it again. You want to hear that again, Kelly? I kind of want to hear it again. Yeah. All right, let's hear that one more time. I'm going to put the link in the description. It's a super short clip. It's only a 2-minute clip, but this is the part where Gandalf fights the Balrog. He ends up dead, as it were. However, listen to this.
Darkness took me, and I strayed out of thought and time. The stars wheeled overhead, and every day was as long as a life age of the earth. But it was not the end. I felt life in me again. I've been sent back until my task is done.
I've been sent back until my task is done. I dropped that in the Discord, guys, if you want to check it out. The White Wizard, right? So, I don't know, man. Like, there seems to be these recurring themes. And again, right, I don't want to say that we're just like, humans in this meat box or whatever. And that's why we have recurring themes, because we have human limitations. I think our mind has no limitation. Literally. I think that's really what we're always talking about here, is that if you limit the mind, what are we, right? We're robots, or we're servants, or we're, right? And Gandalf has said he was a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor. And if you don't believe I'm a Lord of the Rings nerd, you goddamn right I am. Because I'm telling you, there's some knowledge, some esoteric knowledge in fiction as well. What's up, Night Stalker? How you doing, buddy? I'm talking to you and everybody else out there. but it exists, right? So to discount that versus, a religious scripture, I think you're missing the point. I think there's knowledge to be had everywhere, and let's get it. You're the best, Kelly. Other thoughts on this, my man?
Yeah, I would believe that's kind of correct with some of these authors or even directors. They've tuned in, or someone's like told them something, or they've like touched or maybe even reached in some of the Akashic record or something. Because I'll give you an example, kind of like that with that. All right, Michelle was reading this book, and it's by that author. What's her name? The one with the vampires, Anne Rice. So she's reading,
nice.
She's reading this book. Reading this book on Anne Rice. Which one was it? Do you remember? Anyway, when she read part of this, because she already knows that I read a lot about like Sumerian and stuff like that. But she read this part out of Anne Rice's book. And she's a great writer, okay? I'm not going to take anything from her. But when I read some of that shit that she was writing in her book, it sounded like to me. And it's just to me. I don't know if, other people could say this, but to me, it sounded like she was literally talking to a fucking somebody that had lived for thousands of years.
Yeah, like she was channeling. Yes.
Yes. Like,
yes.
And writing this shit down. Because some of the shit that she was saying, though, it was Sumerian. Like,
yes.
It was literally Sumerian. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? How is she adding that to fucking a book about vampires?
Yes. I think, so I haven't read them all, but I'm going to guess it was Queen of the Damned where that came up. Because she talked about she talked about ancient Egypt, she talked about, it seemed lifetimes, right? Like, it seemed like she was channeling from 1,000 generations ago, and not just fiction. It seemed like she was channeling knowledge. It was weird, man. I agree. I read Anne Rice and I get chills. She is amazing. I'm with you, man. I'm with you, 100%.
Yeah, it was blood reunion, but communion,
okay.
blood. But it's still, though, yeah, it was like, for me, though, like, because when I read my shit, man, I'm like, I get down into it, right? Like, I'm like, I could see, like, literally, like, the city of and shit, right? But when she was talking about that, and this was just a part of the paragraph, man, I was fucking mind blown. I was like, that sounds like someone is literally telling her what the fuck she was writing about. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, like, I know, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from these writers or directors, but there are some times, man, I'm telling you, sometimes that there's got to be something else, because, man, that shit was too clean. That was like almost perfect.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I've read Anne Rice, and we're actually going to get into some Anne Rice with we're not done for tonight, guys. We're going to finish up here in the next 10 minutes or so, but we've got another thing coming, and it's funny you brought up Anne Rice, because we have some parallels to we won't get into it right this moment, but a show that we've been watching on Netflix that we're going to talk about with Night Stalker and with Rohan and with James here, but I'm telling you, man, Anne Rice, I agree with you. It's almost like they call it automatic writing, where you try to write history, but somehow you're channeling something. I don't know, man. It's weird. I'm with you. It seems like that thing is out there. It seems like it. I don't know. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, man. That was just one thing I hadn't that you had with the author, but yeah, that for me that was one that it kind of blew me away, the way she was writing, because just like I said, it was incredible. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, for me, with this whole life after death thing, like I said, I say I died, but I didn't see what everybody else was said they seen, or what they try to tell you what they seen, kind of like, you see all these fake churches on TV, you got this guy talking about all kinds of shit, and And then they talk about, like, I don't know, man. My mom never really made us go to one religion, So in these apartment buildings, they had these buses that would come around. They would take you to like different churches, like different, It was like, we had Baptist church, Mormons, Catholics, Christians. And they would want you, they're trying to get, people obviously to go to their church. So, but like with us, she just allowed us to go see whatever we wanted to see. So, with that, we took everything as as let's just see what it is. And some are more, I don't know how to softly put this, but I don't know, man. Some are more, I'm just going to say some are more whack than others. I don't know. They just...
And that's why we love you, Kelly, because you got the sailor blood in you and you can't shake it. You just got to say it the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, well, like, some of them was pretty pleasant. They're trying to, like, and then there was some that were just, I mean, they claimed to be Christian domination, but it was, I don't know what it was, man. It was weird. I'll just tell you that. I mean, like, because they had window panes in the back, but it wasn't, window panes are supposed to be, they kind of catch your eye. But this one had a big red cross in the back and the window pane, but the cross was upside down. And it was like, but it was weird because their denomination, we even asked them about it, because like we were in junior high at the time, and we were asking like, so why is that, why is it red and why is it upside down? Can't remember exactly the answer they gave us, but it was, and that shit was weird. But yeah, I don't know, man. So that's one reason why I kind of took a step in that direction of trying to learn, I wouldn't say delve into, but at least we learned a lot about different denominations of what religion was. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's important. I agree. Like, you can't. Yeah, it's like reading, one book of anything and then trying, And I know, again, blasphemy, because people say it's the word of God and this type of stuff. But I mean, clearly, we all know it's impossible. It's an impossibility. Translations down the line. There's no chance you're getting the pure perfect word of God. I'm sorry. It's not possible. All right. Maybe if you found some scroll from 10,000 years ago or some shit, maybe, but. That's not what we're doing. And so point being is that knowledge is knowledge. I don't care where you get it. And that's why I'm with you. That's why, I'm not going to, in particular, just crap on religion because I don't believe it. There's knowledge to be gained. And so I think we should seek it out wherever it can be had. And I'm with you, my man. We're going to keep talking about this and keep doing our thing. We got to wrap this up because we've got another show starting in like 20 minutes, man. We're not done for tonight. We got to keep going. So we got to wrap this up. I hate to cut you guys short. We got a new idea coming, which we're going to do. You guys will see at about 10:30, 20 minutes from now. So let's wrap this up, Kelly. What are your final thoughts on all this? What do you think? Life after death? Not life after death. Near-death experiences. What happens when we die? If you gotta boil it down to just a quick outro here.
For me, and from my experience, it's just a change of worlds. It's not I wouldn't say when you die, you don't die. I mean, like, again, we're all energy beings. This is my belief, and this is what and everything comes down to. Even religious talks about this, that we're energy beings. It's just this outer shell of wouldn't say the meat curtain, but like it's mass. Once this mass, any kind of thing that's living transformed like this there's a limit to it. And then once it passes on, your energy will keep going on, whether you want to call it a soul like religions do, or do you want to call it something else, But for me, it's just energy, and you don't die, you change different worlds. And what it doesn't mean, when I say change different worlds, that doesn't mean that it could mean that you just change into someone else. You know what I mean? That's what, like, the whole reincarnation thing, like Hinduism. You know what I mean? And it's not saying that you're going to come back as a healer, because energy doesn't know the difference. It's just going to transform. You could come back. Like, that's why they believe, like, again, you know, I said this before, that, you know, a plant, a tree, an insect, a bug, an animal. That's why you got to be kind to everything, because in that type of, I wouldn't say you don't have to believe in the religion, but the facts, are facts that science, or even science, or anything, that energy just transforms and never dies. So just be good to each other and yourself, and then we'll talk to you guys again later.
Amen, brother. Always great stuff, Kelly. I appreciate you listening, appreciate you hanging with us, appreciate your input. You were the best. God bless you, Michelle. Tell her we said hi, and thanks, my man.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too. You too. All right, there we go. See? Simple as that, guys. We're about done here. I don't know if Jay's going to hop in for the outro, the J-tro, but if you don't know, guys, actually, James, you got a take on that real quick? I hate to have you here sitting here and not say anything. You've been here for an awful long time.
Oh, it was great as always. Kelly's stuff is always great. I agree with everything, you know, just everything he said. I think that's a good way to end it, just about. So yeah, stuff.
Okay. All right. So as you guys know, like I said, we're going to try and do something new, because we're meeting so many great people as part of this community, all the great callers, the people who are interested, the people who have great takes, and we're going to try and do something new and mix in people, us together. Like I said, I'm me, you're you, but together we're us. You're about to see what that means. And so we're going to get together at bottom of the hour at 10:30. We're going to end this stream. We'll restart it again as a new thing, and we're going to talk about a Netflix episode called, it's a series. It's a limited series. It's for Halloween. It's called Midnight Mass. And so we're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of that if you guys haven't seen it. So if you have not, spoilers will be coming, and we're going to tell you all that before we start. So just to let you know, we're not done for tonight. So we're about to finish this stream, but we got one more coming up at about bottom of the hour. So let's go to the J-tro. Let's get Jay in New York into this MFer, and let's finish this sucker up. Jay, what's up, my man? What's on your mind?
Mike, too much. You gotta go. I mean, you got another show starting. The death experiences, I've seen quite a few. It's nutty. You know, the one was right at the beginning of all of our mess here, and I talked to the guy on the phone until he said it was time to go. It's a long story. You gotta go.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think we got Derek here in the chat. We got James right here with us. Rohan is going to be a little behind us, so it's okay. Go right ahead. Tell us the story, and we got time for you, my friend.
He just he was getting sick before it was in the news and everything else like that, and talking about breathing, and I was trying to convince him to go to the hospital and all. And he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go. The wife got off of work, and I said, and he's like, no, just talk to me while I'm watching this show. And it was an Alfred Hitchcock, the one where the guy's playing the game where if he loses, he cuts off a finger to get the car. And at the end of it, the old lady was, and he was just talking about how good it was. And I says, well, I'm going to come and get you. And he goes, no, I'm just going to go. And he goes, come and get me in the morning. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to bug you. And I went there and I found him in the morning. And, well, it was, he knew in his mind, my grandfather knew in his mind that it was coming. And it just, I don't know, hanging out and talking to people when that kind of stuff happens is something that's weird, you just being with somebody when they go on and stuff like that. It's like they reach a point where they've fought it long enough and they accept it, and they just, I don't know, peacefully go away, That's just one of the weird things about the death that, just these shows are always, you get into the religion and the metaphysical of all that and everything, and it's like, it's right there. The only way we're ever going to find the answer to it out is die. That's it. I think we have to, but I don't know. I got a quote for you, but
Sure.
I don't want to keep you for. I know you're going. Your dog's got to go for a walk and everything else. You know.
No, I'm not going to do that. We'll do it later. She can wait. She's my dog is scared right now because the wind is whipping like crazy out there. So I promise you, the last thing she wants to do is go outside right now. She's like cowered in her little dog bed in the corner. She's like thankful for being inside for one time. so we're okay.
I got a 130-pound dog that's like that too. Great big huge dogs afraid to go out when it's sprinkling.
That's exactly. And so they'll pee inside. You're like, come on, keep killing me. Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's do it. Music playing in 3, 2, 1. Let's get our J-Tro. You're up, buddy.
All right. What we have done for ourselves alone dies with us. What we have done for others and the world remains immortal. You know, it's kind of like Kelly was saying, be a good person. Go out there and do good stuff for other people. If it doesn't get you anything, just do it. And that's how we live to be immortal. You know, get to see the universe on our way out.
There you go. Pass it down. Right? Anybody ever been in a drive-thru and had somebody pay for you in front of you?
Tons.
Pass it down.
I've had people come by me and my kids dinner at like restaurants and stuff like that, and they'd come up to me and they're like, your kids asked the waitress, may I have an apple juice? I've never seen any. I said, well, you have to teach them. If you don't teach them, they're never going to learn. And then we went up to pay and everything else like that. And it's like, oh, that couple over there that you were talking to bought your dinner for you. You know, it's just, it happens.
It happens. I'm telling you. Manners go a long way. Jay, thank you so much. James, Kelly, Daryl, everybody else that called in tonight, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate your takes on all this stuff. I know these are big questions. These are hard topics to handle, but that's why we do it. We don't do these things because they are easy. We do them because they are hard. There you go. That's my worst JFK ever. All right. We're not done. We are not done. We're going to end this stream. We're going to restart a stream. All right. There you go. And this is the thing. We're going to do more content, more troubled minds, more conversations about esoterics, about ourselves, about the future, about the past, about us and how we fit into all of it. And of course, the influence of people over people and why it's important to be good to yourself so you can be good to others. Thanks a lot, everybody. Don't go anywhere. More Trolled Minds in about 15 minutes. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We're going to end this stream and restart. We're going to reboot, and we're going to do this. If you guys haven't seen the Midnight Mass on YouTube, on Netflix, go watch it. Go check it out. If you want spoilers, we're going to have spoilers. But we will have this on a podcast feed tomorrow if you're ready for this. If not, that's okay. So anyway, as we finish, thanks again, everybody, for listening. Thanks for being part of this. We're done. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.